It's a beautiful, sunshiny morning on this, the 14th day of July 2019. I'm George Grant saying good morning and welcome to today's edition of Sundays with George Grant. Man, just came from out there on the balcony taking a look at the beautiful harbor down at the Carnage all the way down to Grand Dance and Point Celine. Just tons and tons of sunshine this morning. And we're looking forward to saying good morning and welcome to you folks on social media in just a wee bit. It's, boy, let me tell you, you couldn't have picked a better Sunday morning to join us. We got a lot going on here this morning. Even though we only have two segments, we have an interview and then we have a feature. Bang, that's it. But the content, gonna make you say, whew. I'm glad that I joined Georgie Porgy this morning. And yes, here they come. Margaret, good morning to you, Mags. I hope, well, she doesn't live in Manhattan. She lives in Brooklyn. But boy, yes, Mags, I thought about calling you to provoke you last night. I see you guys had a blackout. But Con Ed being Con Ed, they got it back up and running real fast. Real fast. I hope that there weren't any injuries or any major incidents as a result of that blackout. But good to have you with us this morning. And Peter Bishop's also joining us from a hot Long Island. His question, Peter, his first question, how is PhoneGate country? PhoneGate country, like I just said, Pedro, it's beautiful this morning. You know, Grenada's a beautiful place. But sometimes you get up and you look around and you suddenly realize how beautiful this place is. Huh? Despite all our challenges, I wouldn't want to trade it for anything. It's a great place. It's just that there are some out there who try to turn it into a bit of a disaster, but we are blessed. And I remember that every day, my friend, every day. Kathleen Thomas is saying good morning from Toronto. Hello, Toronto. Say hi to everybody in Toronto for me. Good to see you guys. Chester signing. George Chester Simon says he's watching this interesting program today. I'm sure you will be watching, Chester. I'm sure you will be. And good old John is saying, good morning, SWGG. I'm in a dilemma. Cricket World Cup final, Wimbledon men's final, British Grand Prix, and yourself. What shall I do? Come on, that's a silly question, man. John, after we put together this major package for you today, you're going to tell me about cricket and tennis. I'm a big tennis fan, but you should know better. Margaret says, I missed by a couple of hours. Left the city earlier, so didn't get stuck in the train. My cousins didn't make it home until after midnight. Yeah, boy, I wouldn't want to be stuck underground in a subway, especially in New York. Nah. And Fitzroy is also watching from Brooklyn. And Margaret is asking John, didn't I teach you how to multitask? Yeah, John, come on. I mean, I'm sure you have a laptop. I'm sure you have a smartphone. Hey, multitask, like the lady says. And John responds by saying, so it's the cricket then. Ha, 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 ha. Oh, John, you're priceless. Dennis Perkins. Hello there, Dennis. He's saying good morning. Lovely blue skies here in Carriacou. Christine and Dennis. I haven't said hi to Christine in a little while, so very special hello to you there, Christine. And yeah, enough of that for the time being. We'll get back to you guys in just a wee bit. Let's right now get to the rundown. We have the buzz as always, and we begin with a reading from the Holy Scriptures. And yes, she's back. Little Angel sent her contribution in last night, and we'll be sharing that with you in just a wee bit. Editorials. 2. Interesting one. This is from the Grenada Advocate. It's captioned, "On Legitimizing Obeah." And then the new today, Scandalous. Scandalous. Well, you can just imagine what that one's about, huh? Yeah. As far as interviews are concerned, a couple of weeks ago, we had a gentleman on here, Grenadian-born, living in Atlanta, and he is a financial consultant who was sharing with you ideas on how to amass wealth, if you will. You know, he's working really hard at providing Grenadians, or anybody for that matter, in the diaspora, on financial literacy. And he did promise us that he'd be back this week. Well, he is going to be back. And the caption here is "Eradication of Poverty Through Financial Literacy, Part 2. Essentially, this man is saying that, you know, you got a choice. You got a choice. There's certain things you need to do, and too bad that many people just choose the easy way out. Go find a work. Go find a job. Go work for somebody else. And he's saying, other ways, other ways. He talks about something called passive income, and I'm sure he's going to touch on that again this morning. His name is Denis Charles, and like I said, he's a U.S.-based financial consultant. And I would imagine that the folks at Grenada Cooperative Bank, they saw that segment, and they expressed a desire to be on this morning's program to share with us gentlemen. So we have a lady here. Her name is Allana Joseph, not here yet, but she will be shortly. She's the acting executive manager of finance and the head of brokerage and investment services for the Grenada Cooperative Bank. I can't say that I've ever met this lady. I may have, but I can't say for sure that I have. Anyhow, she's going to be in here this morning. Meet a lot of people, a lot of people. She's going to be here, and she's going to be part of that discussion on the eradication of poverty through financial literacy, part 2, okay? So that's essentially the only interview this morning, but I'll tell you, it's going to be a good one. But I hope that you walk away from this morning's program having learned something. Yeah. There are a lot of different ways to make money, but a lot of people, for whatever reason, whether they're scared to take on the challenge of investing or starting their own business or whatever, they usually go the easy route. Go knocking on a door. You have a work for me? Well, these folks are saying no. And let me tell you, the Grenada Cooperative Bank has a number of programs, which you're going to find out about throughout the course of the morning, that will be very helpful to those of you who are willing to jump out of the box. Okay. So that's our interview. Then we move to our feature, our main feature. If you take a look at the website, you'll see that it is captioned, "Another Scandal in Poor Grenada, Phonegate." I imagine that's what Peter was asking about a little while ago. Yeah? Well, let me tell you. You're going to hear a lot of voices this morning, a lot of voices. We're going to begin with a segment which I've been allowed to use, provided by Kem Jones, the person who broke this story. He's an internet talk show host. And by the way, the topic is about the senator who has amassed a huge phone/data bill, which has even sparked quite a reaction from the Prime Minister. Then, after he does that introduction, you're going to hear a short clip from this past week's post-cabinet briefing. In that briefing, a number of questions were asked of Trade Minister Oliver Joseph. He was there with, I think, Nolan Cox. It was Nolan Cox. And the media obviously couldn't wait until the Minister of Finance came in to answer questions. So they went to town on Oliver Joseph. Well, that segment will show how abruptly the press conference or press briefing was cut short. You know, for those of you who've been with Grenada Broadcast over the years, you know that at one point, we used to carry these post-cabinet briefings. They generally start at 10 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes they go to 11, 11:30, past 11:30, depending on the topic. This week, Pilgrims, it was cut short. 11 o'clock. Okay. So we're going to show that to you, if you don't believe me. Then, over the weekend, Prime Minister Mitchell was in Canada. They had this big party, man, big thing in Montreal. I think it was Saturday. Yesterday. Yesterday. And he was there to address that celebration. And he also attended a town hall meeting on Friday night, I think it was. And our good buddy, Junior George, went up there to carry that program. So he broadcast that live on the internet. Now, the Prime Minister answered questions, a lot of questions. And we're going to show you the excerpt where he was asked a question, or a couple of questions, by Junior George, the host of the program. And you'll get to see his response. Suffice to say, you'll get to see his response. Okay? So that's the third segment of PhoneGate that we're going to run for you. Now, on Thursday night of this past week, Thursday night, McWe Chat. How many of you remember that? Eh? If you saw it, I'm sure you haven't forgotten it. But for those of you who didn't, we did several segments, but the segment I pulled out to share with you this morning is the segment on this particular issue. Yes, sirree. I saved that for last. You're going to hear the voices of Jerry George, who was in St. Vincent, Beverley Sinclair, who was right here in Grenada, Margaret Francis, who was in New York, Catherine Edwards, who was in London. And we're talking about the usual suspects here, right? You're also going to be hearing from a gentleman in St. Kitts, not just a gentleman, this man's a lawyer, Dwyer Astaphan. And, of course, yours truly was part of that lineup. So there you have it, my dear friends. An excerpt from McWe Chat. So 4 pieces in that PhoneGate segment. 4 pieces. Okay? It was a busy, busy Thursday night. And again, I extend an invitation to you. If you haven't joined the usual suspects on a Thursday, Mark it down. 8 o'clock on a Thursday evening, right through until 10 o'clock. Okay? Okay. Now, let me get back here before I take the first break. Let me get back here now to social media, see what's going on. Oswald Darbo, hello there, Mr. Darbo. Good morning, and good morning to you, Mr. Wayne Francis and Mr. Kipling Francis. You guys related? Wayne and Kipling? Wayne and Kippy? Arthur Langine says it's a nice day in New York. Yeah? How come you didn't tell me that, Margaret? It's a nice day. Okay. John says New Zealand, 204.5 after 44 overs. Yeah, John, keep us informed throughout the course of the morning, please. Would appreciate that. Wayne says unbelievable, but not surprised. I'm not sure exactly which comment you're speaking about, sir. Arthur Langine says the PM said that it is he who broke the story. I did hear him say that. Well, as far as I know, the public got to find out about it through Mr. Jones. And you'll actually hear that happening. Peter Bishop says, no time to open the phone line? You know, I'm going to try and make a little exception, do a little patchwork here. And I'll allow you guys to call me on my WhatsApp, but please, don't do so before that segment. Well, actually, it doesn't even make sense doing so before the segment begins or during the segment, because all of the content you're going to be seeing is pre-recorded, so you won't be able to talk. And this morning, anyway, we had just jammed with content you just heard, okay? Ryan Jaban is saying, good day from the tranquil Florida Gulf seaside. Yeah, you're spared, Barry, eh? Good for you, Ryan. Ashton Fletcher is right here in Grenada and saying good morning. Anthea Rollo, hello, Anthea. Spice Babes Duncan saying blessings, Uncle George. Well, hello, Auntie Spice Babes. I'm assuming that Spice Babes is a lady. Wayne Francis. Oh, he says his comment is on the phone gate. Thanks a lot, Wayne. Let's see who else. Ooh, Lydia James is in Toronto. Girl, I envy you people. Jackie O is saying good morning from a very hot, already 86 degrees in Washington, D.C. Mr. Trump's keeping you guys warmed up, eh? A lot of people up there today are, oh, and you can understand. Abraham Joseph saying, yep, KCM sure did claim the credit for breaking the story. He said them public workers ain't doing their work. He have to do it for them. Yeah. You're going to see all that a little later on. All right, pilgrims. Let me take a little break here first for the morning, and then we'll come back with this week's edition of The Buzz.
Mr. Watts, wait. Why are you removing my sign?
Sorry, Larry, but you can't put the sign on an electricity pole. That is an accident waiting to happen.
Mr. Watts, man, I just finished this new house. I need to put up a sign so that people would know that the apartment is for rent. Why can't I put my sign on the pole?
Larry, you should know better. Think about it. Nails, staples, glue, and signs make it difficult for linesmen to quickly and safely climb poles, and it can delay their response time when there is an emergency. These objects can prevent linesmen responding as quickly as they should in an emergency.
You know, I've never thought about those things. But you're absolutely right.
On top of that, Larry, your sign was covering the pole identification number. What if someone needed to report a fault? The pole number tells Grenlec exactly where the problem is and allows them to respond faster.
Whoa. I really didn't consider all these things, you know. Come, let me help you take this down.
Remember, be safe, be smart. No more signs, banners, or posters on electricity poles.
GRENADA, energizing our Grenada.
This summer, make your dreams a reality with a Co-op Bank Summer Sizzle Loan. Get up to $20,000 and qualify for a chance to win a staycation at Silver Sands. Go on a vacation. Enjoy the carnival season. Have your dream wedding or make home improvements. Make this summer sizzle with everything you want it to be. Visit your nearest retail banking unit for more details. Special terms and conditions apply.
Welcome home.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply departments and Food Fair supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
Sports Incorporated Summer Camp 2019. Summer Camp starts July 6th at Progress Park and moves to Fawn Playing Field on July 8th and Mud Rouge Playing Field on July 9th and 10th. Basketball Camp starts on July 15th at Grenville Basketball Court, then moves to Grandhands Basketball Court from July 16th to 19th. Camp open for both boys and girls, age 8 to 18. Runs from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. daily. Log on to Life Quality Sports Inc. Facebook page and register now for this summer's basketball and soccer camp. For more information, call 417-0783 or 537-2400. Life Quality Sports. Let's get better together.
All right, here he is. Folks, let's get right into the buzz. We're starting to lag a little bit here. First, our reading from the Holy Scriptures this morning, our very first one, and I quote, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. Cast all your anxiety on him, because he cares for you. Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Resist him, standing firm in the faith, because you know that the family of believers throughout the world is undergoing the same kind of sufferings. And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. To him be the glory and the power forever and ever." Their reading, by the way, was from the first book of Peter, verses 6 to 11. As I mentioned, she's back this week, little angel. She sent us a little piece which is captioned, "A Nation in Decline." I quote, "Until Grenadians learn what it is to be responsible and made to be held accountable for their words, actions, and inactions, deplorable behavior will continue, especially among those who do not know better and seem to have no shame, no respect for themselves and others. Recently, it was unfortunate, unacceptable, and more than disgusting to learn about the physical position which a female chose to take and the gyrating actions a male chose to engage in, hell-bent on displaying masculinity in what appeared to have sexual overtones within a public space. It was also disturbing to note that the onlookers were rather oblivious to the disrespect that was being meted out on them, and did nothing to allay the ludicrous and intentional misbehavior by two individuals who seemed to be in need of help. The questions are, how responsible are Grenadians? And was this act which took place in public any semblance to the display of individual responsibility or collective responsibility on the part of those involved? Was it a lack of self-control and no shame? Or was it a case of selfish lust with no regard? If this is the action of two Grenadian adults, what should we expect of our Grenadian youth? This public display of ignorance by two grown-ups and their onlookers is disturbing, to say the least, and is evidence of another case of national decline in Grenada, as if the failed systems and institutions were not enough. In the wake of this public act, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique seem well ahead on the road to destruction, with what appears to be a morally declining people. Failed systems are bad enough, but failed human beings are worse. Today, much more than ever, Grenadians must admit that they and the governance of the country are in dire need of urgent help, and it is absolutely necessary for them to come together with a sense of shared purpose in order to address just causes, to right the wrongs, and ensure benefits for the common good. Each time a man, I'm quoting here, each time a man stands up for an ideal or acts to improve the lot of others, or strikes out against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope. And that's a quote from Robert F. Kennedy, former U.S. Attorney General between 1925 and 1968. I don't think that he was the AG from 25 to 68. I think that's his lifetime. Selfish thinking and selfishness provide no benefit for anyone, nor the world around him or her. As individuals who are parts of families, communities, and the society, Grenadians must exercise some level of social responsibility, cooperation, participation, and respect for others. That, Pilgrims, is it's not an editorial, it's her contribution. Little Angel. Thanks, Little Angel. 9:29, break time.
This summer, make your dreams a reality with a Co-op Bank Summer Sizzle Loan. Get up to $20,000 and qualify for a chance to win a staycation at Silver Sands. Go on a vacation. Enjoy the carnival season. Have your dream wedding or make home improvements. Make this summer sizzle with everything you want it to be. Visit your nearest retail banking unit for more details. Special terms and conditions apply.
Welcome home.
Conveniently located in the Grandand Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe,
Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Granadas will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep,
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Easy living should be convenient. With Grenlec, it is. Dial 237 for any Grenlec department, or for customer service, streetlight outages, or if it's unsafe to trim a tree near a power line. For streetlights and service issues, please note the pole number. From just about anywhere, you can also check your bill balance and other account information. Just keep your Grenlec access number handy. Dial 237 for Grenlec. It's that easy. Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
All right, folks, I see that we've been joined by Agatha Jordan from sunny Carriacou. She says it's a long time she hasn't chimed in. Indeed, Agatha, and we have missed you. Please, keep coming. Spice Babes Duncan says, George, Grenada never has a dull moment with these greedy politicians. The country and poor taxpayers that suffer. The fiscal space only allows for reckless spending and wastage, not for public servants who work hard and deserve their gratuity. It's a shame. Hey, okay, Spice Babes? Glad you got that off your chest, girl. Ryan Jabon says, yes, George, we must be cognizant of the devil roaring like a lion, looking for people to devour. He's referring to that scriptural passage we read a little while ago. And Agatha Jordan says, God bless you, little angel, for your words. Couldn't have said it better. It's having no self-respect. Ryan Jabon says, sex in open public is sheer sick exhibitionism. And Roger Mitchell is saying, good morning, Sunshine Country. Pilgrims, let's get to the first of our editorials this morning. And this comes to you from the Grenada Advocate. It is captioned, on legitimizing Obeah. A decision of the Eastern Caribbean Court to the effect that the existing laws against the possession and supply of marijuana to another is an infringement of the guaranteed constitutional right to freedom of conscience of those who follow the Rastafarian religion. Rastafarian religion. And that has brought sharp focus of the issue of what constitutes a protected religion for these purposes. The issue has resurfaced in recent days in a slightly different guise, with the proposal in Jamaica possibly to repeal the 1898 law, the Obeah Act, whereby, and I quote, every person practicing Obeah shall be liable to imprisonment with or without hard labor for a period not exceeding 12 months, and in addition thereto, or in lieu thereof, to whipping, unquote. The individual who consults an Obeah practitioner is likewise made criminally liable by Section 5. While the Honorable Minister of Justice did not expressly state the reasons for the contemplated repeal, one fellow member of Parliament was persuaded that it had been outlawed in the first place because of its African origins only. According to a report in a Jamaican publication, the MP for Clarendon stated, and I quote, "I am awaiting clarification as to whether we're now moving something that will make Obeah legal or it remains illegal. If it is not legal, I have reservations because you can't deny me my African religious rights," unquote. He continued, quote, "I don't want it to be misunderstood by anyone, anywhere. So I am asking for clarification because Obeah should never have been legal at any point, any time, anywhere," unquote. It does not appear that there are many so decidedly in favor. An unscientific poll in the same publication evidences a clear majority against the repeal proposal. And in a story appearing in the June 5th edition of the Jamaica Gleaner, the Attorney General has confessed that she felt awkward and uncomfortable listening to the parliamentary debate on the issue because in Jamaica, Obeah has always been known to be a tool of the darkest form of evil that does nothing but harm to others. Her perception may be one that is widely shared, although the Act does contemplate that the concept may also be used for gain in its definition of, quote, a person practicing Obeah. A person practicing Obeah means any person who, to effect any fraudulent or unlawful purpose, or for gain, or for the purpose of frightening any person, uses or pretends to use any occult means, or pretends to possess any supernatural power or knowledge, unquote. In Barbados, to our best knowledge, there is no current legal prohibition on the practice of Obeah. In 1840, the Vagrancy Act that had made it akin to an offense of vagrancy, having been repealed in 1842 and not having been reenacted in the successor Minor Offences Act of 1998, in the informative online essay by Mrs. Kenneth Bilby and Jerome Handler, quote, Barbados Obeah and the Vagrancy Act then and now. Colonialism Revisited, the authors posit, despite the negative view of Obeah and its practitioners persist, a critical examination of these forms of African spirituality strongly indicate that Obeah practitioners, some of whom may have been identified as Negro doctors at certain periods, played positive roles within the slave community. They were sought after for their divination abilities, proficiency at diagnosing and healing illnesses, skill in finding missing property, and powers to help avenge wrongs, including its socially beneficial functions. Indeed, the very primary sources that provide information on Obeah and emphasize its evil nature commonly indicate, albeit indirectly or implicitly, its positive role in slave communities. Its legitimacy is not a public discourse we ourselves will be having anytime soon. Folks, that's the editorial from the Grenada Advocate. Quick break now, Georgie Porgy. Where are we? Yeah, let's go with a quick break here. There we go.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Conveniently located in the Grandand Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Grenadans will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
This summer, make your dreams a reality with a Co-op Bank Summer Sizzle loan. Get up to $20,000 and qualify for a chance to win a staycation at Silver Sands. Go on a vacation. Enjoy the carnival season. Have your dream wedding or make home improvements. Make this summer sizzle with
Alrighty, folks. There we have it. Now, before I move on to the editorial from the New Today, we do have a couple of comments here on Facebook from Margaret Francis out there in the Big Apple. Margaret says, Obeah purports to have supernatural powers, able to heal, cast out spirits. Sounds like a lot of respectable mainstream religious practices to me. The brainwashing is real, so says Margaret. SD Notap, who's out there in the Azores, says, good morning, George. This is a draconian law that is outdated and based on falsehood. Marijuana is not an opioid. The Rastafarian religion sees this plant as God. Hello. Yeah, there he is. I was hiding from you. The Rastafarian religion sees this plant as God-given. No one has been killed by an overdose of weed. Time we grew up, wake up to the benefits of this wonderful herb. Or to be fair to all, ban alcohol. Now that is a sinister drug. Ryan Jabon says Rastafarianism, spiritual Batiste, Shango, and Obeah are recognized Afro-Caribbean religions. All right. Folks, let's now move to the editorial which appeared in this week's edition of the New Today. It is captioned, Scandalous. The word above is an appropriate description of the current scandal that has hit the Keith Mitchell-led New National Party government on the massive abuse of cell phones assigned to some persons, including several operatives of the ruling party, with no ties to the state. The New Today would like to give credit to political activist Kim Jones for breaking the story and putting it into the public domain as proof to Grenadians how their tax-paying dollars are being abused and wasted. This newspaper is calling for Anande Trotman Joseph and her Integrity Commission to launch an immediate investigation into the cell phone scandal and to give full disclosure to the public on the findings. Economic Development Minister Oliver Joseph told reporters that there is a cap on the monthly use of cell phones, and the ministry responsible and stated that it was $11,000 a month. However, the bill from Digicel indicated that in 1 month alone, it was bordering on $130,000, with former Senator Sheldon Scott by himself being responsible for $26,000 alone in that month, which is twice the government cap. This is madness. Senator Scott has not been in the employ of the government for the past 3 years, and the state has no right to be paying for his mobile phone usage. This is a gentleman who is doing political propaganda work for the ruling party and should either pay for his cell phone or get his party to foot the bill, but not the taxpayers of the country. During the months of April to June, the taxpayers of this country had to pay $70,000 for the cell phone being used by Sheldon Scott. If this is not corruption, then the English dictionary has to come up with a different interpretation of the word. The figures, as seen from Digicel, mean that the state was forking out each year $280,000 to pay for Sheldon Scott to do the political work of the NNP. The New Today cannot find any other word but scandalous to describe this in light of the treatment given to persons in need of health care by government. Almost every week, there is a fundraiser in the country with motorcade after motorcade to raise money for somebody who is sick and cannot afford to pay their own medical bills. However, the Mitchell-led government is finding, on average, $23,000 every month to pay the mobile phone bill of one Sheldon Scott. The Anande Trotman Joseph Integrity Commission ought to look into this issue as a matter of urgency, and for there to be full disclosure to determine the extent of the scandal, including the time and places for the use of these mobile phones. It appears that some of the phones were abused by persons who were not making calls to conduct state business, but were engaged in their own personal pleasures. The Integrity Commission must determine whether there was such abuse and to recommend that the culprits pay for these errors of judgment on their part. The Minister of Communication, Gregory Bowen, and the Prime Minister should take the lead and either get the NNP as a party or Sheldon Scott to refund the state all monies paid for the cell phone being used by the former senator since he was removed as a member of government about 3 years ago. It means that the annual budget is an exercise in futility, as the corruption should have been spotted years ago by those involved, including the Prime Minister as Minister of Finance. Everyone involved in the preparation and dispensation of the budget is culpable for this massive cell phone scandal and corruption. And in a functioning democracy, the line minister will tender his resignation forthwith. There are those who've been caught in this web of corruption and should have known better. that once they leave the government service, they had a responsibility to regularize the situation. The service provider, Digicel, is also equally culpable, since it signed an agreement with government for a cap on the service and allowed it to be violated in a massive way. Why? Is this the reason why Digicel is getting preferential treatment over Lime in telecommunications issues? Was Digicel working in cahoots with the government, especially in helping it to advance its political propaganda work? The New Today is watching closely the steps that are taken by this government to get to the bottom of the cell phone scandal and see if any attempt will be made to sweep it under the carpet, since many of its operatives are deeply involved. The tone that is already coming from the NNP quarters reminds us of back in the days, 1979 to 1983, the Grenada Revolution, that civil servants will now be made to feel the full weight for leaking documents considered as falling into the category of national security. The cell phone abuse issue is just yet another major scandal involving the Mitchell government in recent years, following closely on the heels of allegations involving the marketing board and shrimp farm in Victoria, St. Mark. Dr. Mitchell should be cognizant of the fact that despite winning 3 elections by wiping out his enemies 15-0, his legacy will remain tainted by presiding over successive governments steeped heavily in massive corruption and wrongdoing. That, Pilgrims, is the text of an editorial which was published on Friday by the New Today. Right now, break time, and then before I take a break, take a look. See that lady sitting over there? Yeah, you're going to be hearing her voice, huh? And see this gentleman out there in Atlanta? That's Denis Charles. Denis, your face is pretty dark this morning. We need some light. Anyhow, let's take a little break here, and we'll come on back with both these folks.
GRENLEC Community Partnership Initiative.
This is not the first time that GRENLEC, through the GCPI, has responded positively to TAMCC, and we are always appreciative for the support. TAMCC, like the GCPI, is geared to service the community. As a college, we cannot accomplish our mission of fostering Grenada's development through education without meaningful partnerships from other community members. GRENLEC has been a leader in this regard.
GRENLEC, energizing our community.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this. Where you get that? At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who's supporting the environment. That is why I shop in at food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Alrighty, folks. John is providing an update on that World Cup. He says New Zealand 241 for 8 in 50 overs. Margaret Francis says, yeah, where's the Integrity Commission on Cell Phone Gate? The silence is deafening. John says the Integrity Commission is a toothless tiger. Let them hear you, John. Ryan Jabon says, what? $11,000 allowances for government of Grenada used cell phones? Grenada rich. Margaret Francis says, more like it's missing the integrity. Yeah, I understand that. John says, he who pays the piper. And Osmond Lewis, good morning. Margaret says, can a citizen sue Sheldon Scott on behalf of the people and government for misuse of public funds? After all, is we the people money? And she also goes on to say, Denis is backlit. Well, Denis, you see the people out there, they were looking at you a little while ago and saw a black hole. Well, now they're seeing your face. Okay. SD No Tap, that's SD is out there in the Azores, and he says, nice to see the food fair advertisement finally. Companies see the benefit of working with the environment. All right, Facebook, you take a back seat for just a couple of minutes. And right now, Georgie Porgy is going to say good morning. First of all, somebody who's never been on this program, as far as I know. Take a look at that cute smile. There she is, Allana Joseph. And Allana, let me make sure I get the description here absolutely correct. Allana is the acting executive manager of finance and head of brokerage and investment for the Grenada Cooperative Bank. Look at this little lady. Look at the title. Huh? You understand. Good morning, Allana, and how are you?
Good morning. Fine, thank you.
Nice to have you here.
Oh, thank you.
I see you're wearing your co-op logo and everything, your emblem?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Ready to meet this guy up there?
Ready.
Ready to meet this guy. Okay, so that's Allana. And now, take a look at Mr. Yellow. Good morning, Denis, and how are you?
I'm all right this morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty darn good. I'm so excited about having you two people on here this morning. Thanks for coming back.
All right, I'm here with you.
All right. Now, let me start here. 2 weeks ago, Denis Charles, a Grenadian financial consultant living in the United States, suggested to us that Grenadians in the diaspora are going about trying to achieve wealth in the wrong way. Finding a job, working for others. He believes that they ought to be investing in a myriad of tools available on the financial markets. He stressed the need for them to become more aware of what's referred to as passive income. Today, his attention will be focused on living right here in Grenada. Providing us with a little more advice this morning is a local banker. Her name, Allana Joseph, whom you just met. And she is the acting executive manager of finance and the head of the Grenada Co-op Bank's brokerage and investment services. After 87 years in existence, but you guys didn't know that, the bank holds the largest, yeah? They hold the largest market share of assets in the banking sector, as well as the largest deposit base among the 5 commercial banks on the island. It proudly boasts 1 billion with a B in deposits, or a 32% market share. And these figures, my friends, are borne out by the ECCB statistics and the financial statements of commercial banks. Denis, I'm going to start with you. We only have, let's see here, we only have about 45 minutes. So first of all, I want you to pick up very quickly by doing a very brief recap on what we talked about 2 weeks ago.
All right, good morning, sir, and good morning to my fellow Grenadians. As you know, my name was introduced. I'm Denis Charles, a financial advisor here with World Financial Group. My background is economics and finance. I'm an old stockbroker, etc., etc. In the interest of time, I'll move a little fast, okay? If you need to slow me down, I'll repeat. Anyhow, the concept of coming to the United States and working to create wealth for our family, that's a fallacy. Wealth is only created by investing, by owning. And so we should focus more on creating wealth, creating what is called passive income, because we can only work so much, okay? We have a 9 to 5, we have a 3 to 11, whatever shift you want to call, right? But you can only do so much within a 24-hour window. Now, if you have your money working for you, that goes round the clock 24/7. There is no limit, no money taking vacation, money does not get sick, you know, maternity leave, nothing like that. So it's the better thing to do. The wealthy folks, they invest. They don't work for money. They invest and make the money grow for them, as opposed to the poorer folks who work for money. So there is a saying that people who know how money works invest. The people who do not know how money works try to work for money and would never become wealthy. So we have a little, you know, disconnect here, and that is what I want to address this morning. May I continue?
Yeah, go ahead, very briefly.
All right, good. The situation with Grenada, as it is today, bothers me. And I'm going to speak with a little passion. I am ashamed at what is going on in my home country. Yes, I'm an American citizen, naturalized and all of that, but Grenada is still my home. And when I can see ex-government officials having 26,000 phone bill and all this craziness happening in Grenada, I am ashamed, to put it lightly. No long-term plan. You do not develop a country without long-term plan. I don't care how many Chinese you import and all these promises about shrimp farm on dry land in Victoria. Stop making a mockery of us. You can't. You won't do that. Put out a long-term plan, okay? You have benchmarks. As you go, you figure out where you fall short, what you can do to improve, and you make the necessary corrections, and keep it open for everybody. We learn as we go. Nobody is perfect. All right? I don't care if you win 15 seats or 16 seats for that matter. It doesn't matter to me. You put out a plan, okay? Everybody can discuss, everybody can see. You have benchmarks as you go, 6 months, 9 months. Did you make progress or not? And let's move forward, okay, in an objective and plain and truthful fashion.
All
Not
right.
all that Bulgarian propaganda.
All right, so Dennis, we get the feeling that you're not happy about the state of economy, and you're pointing to some of the reasons why the economy may not be doing well. Now let's get to the individuals. You were suggesting that the Grenadians who migrate to the diaspora, like where you are out there,
Yes.
they're going about trying to accumulate wealth in the wrong way. You're saying that they should be investing. You also see that as being the right approach for right here in Grenada?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. The traditional means of accumulating wealth, if you go back years ago, decades ago, we had three things given to us. We had cocoa, we had nutmeg, we had banana, right? We had gas industries. Thousands and thousands of people were employed in areas like Birch Grove, throughout the whole country, St. David's, throughout the whole country, all the big estates, Baltazar estates, all the big estates, Belmont, Pointsville, River Antoine, the branch estates, and so forth. So it created employment throughout the country, and that was good. Now that is gone though, banana. We had a situation after Hurricane Ivan and Emily, where the nutmegs were devastated. The government at the time never embarked on a resuscitation program. Planting back, nutmegs grow in high elevation, more so in the interior of the country, because they are very susceptible to heat, to dry land, okay? But there was never a replanting effort after Hurricane Ivan to resuscitate the industry. So in other words, they go about business by chance, okay? And I could talk about cocoa also, the same thing. So had it not been for Belmont Estate and probably a few others, I know we're making chocolate in Victoria now, and it is called Juve, something like that. I bought it up here myself. And I'm very supportive of anything coming from Grenada. But you don't see a grassroots effort on the part of this administration to identify key economic areas and put resources, where resources are needed to develop the economic infrastructure of the country. You cannot develop a country without a plan. I'm not talking about campaign financing every 5 years. I'm talking about a long-term plan. That doesn't exist. It bothers me. Now, I try to stay away from politics for whatever reason, as you know.
Try real hard this morning.
Yes, I would not go there. But I am very disappointed. Secondly, you do not develop a country by getting foreigners to come and invest in Grenada. You have to look at it from that way. The Marshall Plan after World War II was necessary in Europe because America had bombed Germany and all of that. Fine. So we had to go back and rebuild. In Grenada, some of the people you call investors, we know what they have been doing. They open banks, banks fail. They rob people of money. Some of them end up in jail. All these so-called investors, you give them everything. They don't pay taxes here. In fact, most of them bring their own employees. And you don't have diversification. St. George's alone is not Grenada. They have to know that. Grandance alone is not Grenada. Since I left Grenada, we had Pearls and we had Samsine. There is still one in Grenada. In St. Andrews up there. Okay? The population throughout the country, everybody need a little slice of the pie.
All right, Dennis, let me ask you this. I want you to try, and there are people out there who really appreciated the program that you did a couple of weeks ago, because you explained to them how Grenadians in the diaspora could be generating wealth, and you were talking a lot about passive income, okay?
Yes.
I want you to speak to the Grenadians here along those lines as well.
Yes.
You know, I got the feeling that you want to see Grenadians move away from this thing about, you know, getting a wok and instead creating passive income like you keep stressing. Talk to the Grenadians along those lines to me, please.
Yes, sir, I will. Now, we have to look at the youths, the young people, the young generation, where we have the highest unemployment rate. We cannot have our young people resorting to drinking and smoking. I've been in Grenada just last year, and I can tell you, I went to a few parties and all of that, and I observed, okay, I'm from Conference, Tivoli, and 10 o'clock in the morning, half of them are drunk already. Nothing to do. What about cooperative? You marry idle hands with idle lands. You get them involved in some kind of production. Okay? You glamorize it. You can use the radio station to glorify agriculture, doing something that you can export. You can even sell some of your produce to the hotels. Cabbage, lettuce, tomato, string beans, some of the things that you can grow, you can sell them locally. Okay? There's a marketing board in St. George. Okay? You can do that, and you split the money in the cooperative amongst yourselves. So you create self-employment, if I may.
Would you agree with me that one of the reasons why we don't see more of that is because, you know, young entrepreneurs are a little bit petrified. They don't exactly know how to go about it. They have these great ideas, but they need somebody to do a little hand-holding. Would you talk about probably the importance of educating these people?
Yes, this is very, very important, the point you made. We have to have somebody in government, you know, somebody in government giving advice and encouragement. Now, I could turn your attention back to the Gary era. In the morning, they used to have an agriculture program where they teach you animal husbandry, raising animals, and other things like that, agriculture, maybe half an hour or an hour a day in the morning. So that would reach the younger generation, all right, on a daily basis. So you glamorize it, you make it fun. It is something that is, they hear day and day, morning after morning, and it becomes part of them. Nobody talks about agriculture these days. You know, the negative is like a walking land. It's not a negative. You feed yourself.
Shouldn't the school system be a good place to start educating these people?
Yes, the school should have a curriculum or some program there. When I was in primary school, I attended the Tivoli RC school back then. Okay? We had the 4-H club. They used to teach agriculture science. I knew how to board, how to graph, how to do a lot of things, right? But now that doesn't exist. It's like high woods in the back of the school where I used to plant tomato and cabbage.
All right, let me get to Allana here now, because you know, I think some of the stuff you're talking about is exactly what Co-op Bank is trying to do right now. Am I right, Allana?
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Now, I mean, I read off a little introduction a little while ago. You guys are really kicking butt nowadays. I mean, 87 years old, and I haven't seen your boss with a mustache or a beard. And well, I can't say he doesn't have gray hair because he doesn't have hair, period. You know, but you guys have been around. You have established yourself, and things seem to be getting better and better for you. $1 billion in assets.
Mm-hmm. 87 years of hard work.
Of hard work.
From
now,
the beginning.
I mentioned a little while ago the fear on the part of some people in investing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, And yeah, a lot of people have been burnt, which creates a lot of skepticism and cynicism. But how is Co-op Bank reaching out to overcome that fear?
Okay, the bank has a long commitment to improving the lives of our customers through the provision of high quality financial services and this philosophy is enshrined in our mission statement. This has been our quest since 2003, and taking its departure from that mission, we would have launched our Brokerage and Investment Services Unit in 2017, because we would have seen the need, given the excess liquidity in the market, we would have seen the need to take Grenadians from being just mere consumers to being wealth creators, wealth generators.
That's what Denis is talking about.
Correct. And you see, our education system is not one where we would have started out with investment, just investment language or that option, you know? So I think there is a gap between the education, which drives the fee. But you know, in investment, there are risks, and your risk appetite will influence the type of investment products you would want, of course. But there are different types of products, so you can always fall at different spectrums. You know, investment is not something. I guess you're fearful because there have been historic mishaps, which some people are still recovering from. But
they still bear the scars.
Yes, but I think, you know, through education and as people, their awareness has increased with the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange starting from that market in our region. I think people would, as they understand more, be more willing and open. Our Brokerage and Investment Services Unit hopes that Grenada, through our new product offerings, would attract more persons into the investor class. And here we're talking about the ordinary men and women at home and abroad, that they could move from just consumers and, you know, start creating wealth that they could pass on to loved ones, to generations, as well as, you know, have funds for emergencies and so forth. Our Brokerage and Investment Services Unit also allows Grenadian investors to have simple, convenient, and affordable access to the Eastern Caribbean securities market. And hopefully in time, other securities stock markets in CARICOM. Our product offerings also, we offer strategic financial advice, bond structuring, loan structuring, and bond syndication, and even raising of capital, which would make projects that seem previously challenging more feasible for businesses and visionaries. So it's, you know, it's the Brokerage and Investment Services Unit is a starting point to take the Grenadian people, to take the public from just mere consumers to investors.
You know, one of the things I didn't hear you mention, and I thought it's really important, is the fact that you guys have been really thoroughly scrutinized.
Indeed.
By the Eastern Caribbean, what is it, Securities Exchange?
No, well, I'll just elaborate a little bit.
Please do.
First of all, I would like to commend the management and the board for their support, their guidance, and their vision to get us to the point where we are at today.
That's why you guys still around.
Yeah. And just to elaborate, to get a broker-dealer license, the bank had to prove to the licensing authority, which is the Eastern Caribbean Securities Regulatory Commission, that we maintained the adequate level and quality of capital, of technology, of our governance structure, risk management practices, internal controls, as well as the human capital. And our staff would have had to undergo a rigorous program of studies and examinations to ensure, you know, that we satisfy the requirements. So I also want to commend the staff for their dedication to the bank's vision and mission as well.
Denis, I'm going to bring you back in here for a sec. You're listening to Allana here, and it seems to me that she may be allaying some of the fears that, you know, potential investors have. What say you?
Yes. I want to say thanks for the points she raised. I took some notes. It seems as though we have a commonality of viewpoints and perhaps interests. I don't know her personally, but I would like to extend my phone number to her, which you can give. and I'll make a contribution to her efforts. She could reach me anytime after the show. Looking at the situation with the youths, with the economy today, okay, we must get to diversification in our economy. We are dependent to a large part on tourism. Nothing is wrong with that. But tourism in one spot, grandans, this is wrong. How about we can have, the Chinese took over the country already anyways, we can have them put up a lift system. Okay, you go from Mount Pandy, you connect it to Fort Rupert. You can go all the way to Montjolo, Richmond Hill area there, the Madhouse area there. People can take the lift and you can see the countryside a little better, all right? The area around the roundabout, just over Belmont. All of that could be stops that the tourists could gather. Let's say the buses come. It would develop. If you want to develop, let us develop. All right? You have the Welcome Stone. Nobody knows about it. Huh? You have the Carib Stone or the Kalinago Stone or the Tieno People Stone, whatever name you want to call them. In Monk Ridge, there is also a slave punishment house in Hermitage. Most of the country in the South don't know anything about that, never been there. If we want to develop, let us identify our gems and put resources to them, okay? Develop a brochure that you can put in the Ministry of Tourism or maybe on the airport when tourists come in, and let them travel. Belmont Estate, Rivantoin Estate, and there is so much to do. Okay. I don't know who is the Minister of Tourism, what they're getting paid for. As I said, I don't want to get into politics,
All right.
period.
All right. Yes, you have outlined a number of things that could be done, Denis, but let me ask Allana this. Allana, yes, there are people out there with brilliant ideas, but when coming to talk to somebody like yourself at Co-op Bank, they should come prepared, okay? Take a minute to talk to these potential clients, okay, and explain to them how to prepare to come and sit with Allana. What are you going to ask them? Because they're scared. I mean, some of them coming into your office with their pants wet, okay? So please, speak to them and help them to prepare.
Well, you know, I don't want to set the stage that you have to come come with everything proper. You know, we are here to help the investors find a path that is suitable for them. So at least we would like to have an idea of the type of their risk appetite, what type of risks they are open to. Are they low risk, risk averse, because they have suffered several losses before? This is the first time. Are they willing to take a little bit more risk so we can understand what's best to recommend for them? So it's for customers, for persons to be open and honest about what they understand, so we know how to guide them along, as well as to advise us as to what is their risk appetite, so we can let them know, based on the investment options in the market, what would suit their needs. Based on what they're looking for, what is their ultimate plan? So what is your plan of action? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What it is you want to achieve?
So exactly, they need to know that. They need to know what they want. It doesn't just make sense coming and sitting and talking with you and hoping that you'll...
Well, you may not have a plan, or you might just hear about investments, because we also, part of our mandate is educating the public. So you may just hear about investments and you want to know how that can impact your life. And we can give you some options that you may consider. For instance, you might be a new parent, you might have a child, you might look at, well, maybe you can start off with a junior savers account. You might look at an education investment plan. So it doesn't have to be the regular structured stocks and bonds, but we look at things that are suitable for you within your current lifestyle and allow you to grow into your investment life cycle.
Since you're talking about options, there's somebody looking at you in New York right now, Margaret Francis, and Margaret says, what are the options for investing in the bank? How does an individual proceed?
Well, remember, I just want to clarify that the Brokerage and Investment Services Unit is the intermediary used to allow investors to access investment instruments in the region, especially on the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange. So we would take transactions or facilitate transactions for customers if they want to purchase shares that are listed on the exchange, purchase or sell shares on the exchange, based on the, and I would encourage listeners, viewers to go to the exchange. Even if you're not really interested, you could just look at the activity on the exchange to kind of have an idea of the instruments being traded. Even if you want to participate, so depending on your risk appetite, shares might be a little long term, and you might want your liquidity, you might want back your principal and interest in a short time frame, so you might want something a little bit more liquid, so you might have a short-term treasury bill, for instance, something that matures in 90 days or 91 days. We'll have to find out from you what is your limit price, what is the lowest price you would like to bid in an auction for these treasury bills. And then we would facilitate the transactions when there is an auction, but yeah, these are just some options that you can consider. Treasury bills, bonds, their treasury notes, different length maturities, as well as security instruments, your stocks, your shares on the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange for listed companies. So that's just a rundown of what's available.
You know, do you have a lot of clients who are involved in the agricultural industry? Not clients, customers.
You mean in the bank in general or at the unit?
At the unit.
Not as yet. And that's part of the mandate of the unit as well. We can help. You know, it's a shame that when you look at the exchange, there are not many Grenadian companies listed on the exchange. And I think the Grenadian business owners have not realized that here is an avenue of financing that you can also tap into. You know, it requires a little bit more discipline because you would now have to have your financial reporting. You would have to ensure that you have some return to your shareholders, you know, if you're going to go public. But it's also an avenue you could consider to grow your business. So we can see more companies listed on the exchange, and the unit is here to help facilitate that.
You know, the reason why I brought that up is because just sitting here looking at the comments on the forum here, it seems like there's a lot of interest here this morning in agriculture. I'm not sure why. But I want to share with you, Denis and Allana, some of the comments that are coming in here, even though they may be a little bit offbeat. Lawrence Kruthoff says, this is a very important program. Sharon Roberts, responding to something Denis said earlier on, says, this is not true. There was replanting of nutmeg and cocoa. Okay? John says, where do the youth get their monies from for all the drink and cigarettes and crime? Tessa Barry says, the program still exists at Maribel. We just need to get a method to attract the young ones. Agricultural science is still taught at the primary school. 4-H clubs still exist. Take all of this in, Allana, and tell your boss, go get them. Nishan Noel says, tell the government to invest in some factory bananas and cocoa and nutmegs. They are dying too much, and too many fruits are spoiling. I'm surprised at the interest in agriculture. Tessa Barry says, George, can you feature St. Michael's RC School? That's the school I taught. They have an excellent agricultural program, and the entire school surrounding is cultivated. Roger Mitchell says, I got all my training from school and it's deeply rooted in me. Plus, my grandmother always stressed the importance of knowing how to feed yourself. Tessa Barry says, as a matter of fact, the school requested assistance with the Amani program for gardeners, and they were assigned 2 persons. Dennis Perkins says, lots of the folk that could work in agriculture do not own land, and there is lots of land lying unused. The government should compulsorily lease this from the owners and let the unemployed people grow produce, which should then have a guaranteed market. Anthony DeRiggs says, what could be done to attract retired Grenadians abroad who are afraid to return to Grenada to live because of the state of the medical system? Some of these people are loaded. Anthony, tell some of them to put it in agriculture too. Just kidding. Tessa Barry says, we can't talk getting folks involved in agriculture if we don't make a concerted effort to create markets, local, regional, and international. She goes on to say, we need an educational drive to encourage persons to buy local products. We need to encourage more value added. Help the cottage industries to move beyond the cottages. The prices of the local products need to be competitive. The government needs to find ways to minimize the cost of input supplies. Yashon Tafari says, tourism and agriculture should go hand in hand. If you're bringing in folks and still have to bring food in to feed them, then you are just taking the foreign exchange in one hand and passing it out in the other to import. Margaret says, well, you've already answered, Margaret. And John says, yet the M&IB prices are amongst the highest. Let's see here. Rodriguez James says, I have visited the brokerage department and got some explanations, but the various costs are a bit steep for some basic service. I'm going to ask you to respond to that, Allana. And Abraham Joseph says, there should be an emphasis on planting of coconut trees as there is demand for this commodity. Would you respond to
the fees?
The fees.
Okay. With regard to the fees, there's a portion of the fees. Well, I should first start off by saying that our bank's philosophy is that we would aim to be the lowest. Our strategies for fees and pricing is cost recovery, and our aim is to be the lowest in the market and always to be as transparent as possible with our customers. So we publish all our fees and charges. So though the fee may seem steep, some of the fees are standard fees that are to be paid to the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange to facilitate the transactions. But the bank's fees, we try to ensure that they are reasonable, we are transparent with them, and that they are firstly for cost recovery. One thing I should add, the Brokerage and Investment Services unit, being a participant in the brokerage market, now raises the bar when it comes to the service quality that's expected from brokers, as well as it should put a downward pressure on the cost of services. So I appreciate the feedback, but we try to be as reasonable, and we do have a process where we would review the fees based on what's happening in the market, based on competition, based on cost, annually, or as necessary, to ensure that the fees are competitive and fair.
Bottom line, you guys are reaching out to customers.
Yes.
All right. Andrea St. B. Mitt says, the budget allocation for agriculture says it all. This sector just doesn't seem to be a priority. Kipling Francis says, when the one in charge condemns agriculture and the others are followers, where do we go from here? Continue importing what we should be exporting. Let me get back to Denis. Hello there, Denis. All right.
Yes.
You're listening to this lady, and I'm saying there's so many commonalities between your message and her message.
Yes, there are many, many, many. And the last point you make, I welcome all those who contributed. But the last point you make, I love it. The increase in production, well, let me put it this way, in imports. If we, as an independent country, we are importing some of the things we should be making and consuming locally, something is wrong. There is a term in economics called prosumption. It means that you should try to produce most of the things you import, if you could. There is another phrase called economic, advantage and so forth. We're not going to get into all of that. But Grenada is blessed with rich, fertile soil, abundant water, okay? We have the topography of the land is not too steep. You could grow stuff anywhere, all right? We have to get back to producing the things we need to eat or we need to export. We cannot be importing breadfruit and blogger from St. Vincent. I passed on the docks in St. George's. There was a boatload of sheep and goat, breadfruit and blogger, even cattle. I mean, what is wrong with Queen's? I don't want to say Queen's Park but anyhow, the rare animals there and pearls and all plains and all the areas around where animal husbandry was of prime importance. As a kid, we all had, we raise a bed, we grow lettuce. You get a bucket of water and you water your lettuce. And then on the side, you have tomato, you have cabbage. Every household in my neighborhood, every one of us, in the morning or in the evening, we had to go fetch buckets of water and grow our plants. We were taught that. We had forage club in school. We had also, we had agriculture science. Everybody had to go to the field behind the school and learn to plant beans. We used to call it bodi at the time. What is wrong? Who is in agriculture? What about agro-processing? We can make mango jam, mango nectar, okay? I think in Barbados, they are making breadfruit flour. We could roast the breadfruit, fry it in little strips, package that. There are so many things we could make, package them and sell. We reduce the importation of things like from Trinidad, like shandy and sugar water, whatever name they want to call that. I went on the docks in Grenville by my friend. Boxes and boxes, crates of those things coming from Trinidad.
All right.
We could make them locally.
All right. Denis, we're running out of time, but I want to share a comment which comes from somebody in Carriacou.
Yes.
He says, this is information, but only if you have money to invest. It does not help the disadvantaged. The Adam Smith theory of economics does not work. We tried it in the UK under Thatcher, and all that happened was that the rich got richer. I see Allana smiling. Very quickly, Denis, and I mean quickly.
Yes.
Respond to that, because we got to go.
Okay, thank you for your point, sir, but we cannot accept defeat without making an effort to do better. To accept that and just sit by and do nothing is just giving up. And I'm not one who believes in that. I think we should make an effort, although it might be difficult, but it's better to try and fail than to fail to try. Thank you.
So essentially, what I heard you say here this morning, Denis, in local parlance, get off your butt. Get off your butt and do things. Stop throwing all your money out to foreign investors and, into importing stuff and stuff like that. Let me get back to here, Allana, for just a minute. Allana?
Well, just on that comment, I think that's the mindset, we have to get a little away from, even though you're hurt. And that's what I'm saying. You need to really assess your investment appetite and your investment options. So even though you would have had bad experiences, you can still start off with simpler things, less risky options, and start small and let your money grow for you. Because if you take that approach of, well, you've had bad experiences and you just let your money sit there, you see already we are in a defeated attitude and you get nowhere. So I think we still can look at our options, see what can happen, what is suitable for you at this time, and still try to grow investments.
Essentially, Allana, if at first you don't succeed, try and try again.
Exactly.
Successful people don't always make it the first time.
No, not at all.
They keep on trying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you don't always hear about the falls along the way. Most of the times we only see the end product, but you don't know the process that took them there. So we still have to hold strong, hold straight. My comments with regard to agriculture, Yes, it's important, but I think in today's world, the way the world has been moving, I think our education system needs to be, it shouldn't be agriculture alone, it needs to be twinned with a bit of business management, where farmers can actually make their business work for them, see their business grow, not just do the hard work and the hard labor, but also take their business to the next level, especially with so much different competition with the artificial foods and the imports. I think that would be key for education system as well.
You know, Denis was with us a couple of weeks ago, and I obviously had him back here this morning. He's been with us a number of times. And, you know, Allana, I'm sitting here listening to you, and I can tell that you are a wealth of information. You have a lot inside that may be beneficial to people who weren't able to get everything this morning. Would you make me a promise? Please?
Sure. Well, let's
Pretty please?
I would try to commit.
You want me to write to your boss and beg him to send you back?
I'm sure he will be willing. So,
okay.
Yes, I would.
Please come on back, Allana.
Yes.
Because you mentioned education. It's so crucial. And it's something we tend to ignore big time. Okay?
Definitely.
I've been talking, my dear friends, with Allana Joseph, who's the acting executive manager of finance. And she is also the head of brokerage and investment with Co-op Bank. And out there in, is that where you are this morning, Denis, Atlanta?
Atlanta.
Thank you so much, Denis. I appreciate it. Man, I'll tell you, I got to find out where you do your shopping, man. You always floor me with your colors.
Come visit me. When you come, I'll take you there.
Okay. But first, I have to invest and make some money so I can buy the kind of stuff you have.
Definitely.
I'll get you there. I just came from New York and I had a BPA business presentation thing. I got to go back up again. We're going to talk up there.
Okay, that would be great. Thanks a lot, Denis, and thanks a lot, Allana. Folks, we're going to take a break. And then, yes, we are coming back with, what do you call it? Phone gate? Yeah, that's what we're dealing with. Right after this.
Mr. Watts, wait. Why are you removing my sign?
Sorry, Larry, but you can't put the sign on an electricity pole. That is an accident waiting to happen.
Mr. Watts, man, I just finished this new house. I need to put up a sign so that people would know that the apartment is for rent. Why can't I put my sign on the pole?
Larry, you should know better. Think about it. Nails, staples, glue, and signs make it difficult for linesmen to quickly and safely climb poles, and it can delay their response time when there is an emergency. These objects can prevent linesmen responding as quickly as they should in an emergency.
You know, I've never thought about those things. But you're absolutely right.
On top of that, Larry, your sign was covering the pole identification number. What if someone needed to report a fault? The pole number tells GRENLEC exactly where the problem is and allows them to respond faster.
Whoa, I really didn't consider all these things, you know. Come, let me help you take this down.
Remember, be safe, be smart. No more signs, banners, or posters on electricity poles.
GRENLEC, energizing our Grenada.
This summer, make your dreams a reality with a Co-op Bank Summer Sizzle Loan. Get up to $20,000 and qualify for a chance to win a staycation at Silver Sands. Go on a vacation. Enjoy the carnival season. Have your dream wedding or make home improvements. Make this summer sizzle with everything you want it to be. Visit your nearest retail banking unit for more details. Special terms and conditions apply.
Welcome home.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply departments and Food Fair supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
Sports Incorporated Summer Camp 2019. Summer Camp starts July 6th at Progress Park and moves to Fawn Playing Field on July 8th and Monrouge Playing Field on July 9th and 10th. Basketball Camp starts on July 15th at Grenville Basketball Court, then moves to Grandance Basketball Court from July 16th to 19th. Camp open for both boys and girls, age 8 to 18. Runs from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. daily. Log on to Life Quality Sports Inc. Facebook page and register now for this summer's basketball and soccer camp. For more information, call 417-0783 or 537-2400. Life Quality Sports. Let's get better together.
Whoa. All right, folks. If you thought that was busy, let me tell you. Oh, boy. We're now going to move into PhoneGate. Now, I don't think there's anybody in Grenada who doesn't know what we're talking about. You recently heard that a former senator here in Grenada has accumulated a bill of over $70,000 in phone and data charges over a 3-month period. This is news which was broken to the Grenadian people this past week by a young internet broadcaster, Kim Jones, despite the fact that, as you're going to hear later on over the next hour and so, the Prime Minister in Montreal yesterday said that he was the one who broke this news. Okay, well, I don't know. He could have. I don't know. What I do know is that I and a lot of other people became aware of this through something on Facebook. All right, by Kim Jones. Now, I'm about to play you 4 segments. One, I'm going to play you the piece. It's about 23 minutes long, where Kim actually, as far as I'm concerned, broke the news. Okay? And you're going to hear him making a couple of phone calls and stuff like that. Then, after this thing really hit the street, I think the government probably found it necessary to come out and say something. So, at the post-cabinet briefing this week, reporters, I don't know whether or not Minister of Trade expected this, but reporters began firing questions. And stuff started getting really interesting when the post-cabinet briefing was abruptly terminated with questions remaining unanswered. You'll see that. As I mentioned to you, Prime Minister Mitchell, I don't know if he still is, but I know that up to yesterday he was in Montreal, and he held a town hall meeting on Friday evening. And obviously, he was asked about this issue. Junior George, who does the program Right Along Live, was there, and he broadcast that town hall meeting. And he personally asked the Prime Minister about this issue. Prime Minister responded, and boy, you're going to hear a lot in that response. Yeah. I'm also going to share a very interesting segment which we did on Thursday night's edition of MECWE Chat, where we had a whole slew of people. I think there was 6 or 7 of us discussing this particular issue. So, in a nutshell, there is a lot coming up. And I want to start here with Kim Jones explaining what happened in this particular situation.
But I want us this morning to zero in on Sheldon Scott. Right? Let's zero in because he's a big mouth on the NNP Had Talk program and he could say any and everything about people. But now we are talking about an investigative piece. I was able to investigate and lay my hands on that phone bill. Phone bill from a particular company to the government. So the government used that service cell phones. So they send that bill to the government saying, this is what you owe. So every month they would send that bill to the government. I have 3 months of that bill. 3 months. So April, May, and June of 2019. On that bill, it outlines who the numbers are assigned to. So last night or yesterday afternoon, I deliberately called the number assigned to Sheldon Scott, and he answered the phone. Right? And I have proof of that. I actually called his number last night. I did so. And when I called his number, he answered the phone. Right? And he will be listening this morning. What I should do is to call this morning live. Right? That is what I should have done. Call this morning live. Because he will be listening this morning. Because he knows something is hot, something is brewing, and you know. So I called yesterday to reconfirm if this number is assigned to this guy. Right? 5113, I would not say the code. You know, I could tell you the code, but 5113, that's the 4 digits, the last 4 digits. I would not say the code. And in that bill, the bill for April, it says that Sheldon Scott, the government of Grenada, Senator Sheldon Scott, I don't know this guy to be any senator in April, May, and June. No. And we're talking about this year. Right? Good. So, you follow the lead here. Domestic is $3.60. International, 0.00. Roaming, 0.00. But data, $22,797.27. Order, $40. So you have, according to this bill from this phone company, that reflects the amount of $22,797.27. The government owes that because a person by the name of Senator Sheldon Scott, who uses a number assigned, a government number, a number under the government, and the number ends with 5113. I called him last night or yesterday, late, to just confirm, because I was completing that investigative piece. And he answered the phone. I want to assume he was out in some event. He answered the phone and I just cut it off. Right? And if he checks his phone now, he would see that 415-4817 called him and he answered. I am saying, folks, that's just the month of April. Let us go now, because there are other people here, you know. Keith Mitchell, let me look for it. Let me look for Keith Mitchell. Right? Keith Mitchell is here too, you know. Right. So, Prime Minister Honorable Dr. Keith Mitchell, and his number is here. I would not reveal his number. And I'm telling you that Keith Mitchell is just $40. Just $40. Do you understand me? Just $40. Right? It's amazing. You have other people here, like Cletus St. Paul. His bill came up to $2,416.86, and that's for April, and that's the government, huh? But their names are reflected there because they have a cell assigned to them, right? A cell assigned to them, and maybe we could test some of them because I can actually call one or two of them, yeah, because it's not against the law to call their numbers. They can either answer or not, or fail to answer. It's up to them, right? So here it is. I'm talking about the month of April, May, and June, right? April, May, and June. 2019. You're talking about the bill, government bill, with a company, a phone company. And it says Senator Sheldon Scott. He's no longer a senator, we know that. But still, his name is reflected on that bill. And a number that I got him on last night, I called him, he answered the phone. And his bill is $22,797.27. And mind you, that's data use only. Data use only. The total for that month for him alone is $22,840.87. That's for April. Let's go to May and see the consistency. Sheldon Scott. Hold on. You're hiding. Hiding? Don't hide. Right here. Sheldon Scott now in the month of May. Let's look for Sheldon Scott. Alright? Sheldon Scott. In the month of May, Sheldon Scott's bill on that plan, government, because remember the bill was sent to government, and the number again assigned to Sheldon Scott, I will only give you the end, the 4 digits in the end, 5113. $26,861.77. And it's more for data use alone. Data is $26,818.10. Let's go to June. June now. Look, this is hot news, you know. This is not no joking news. You hear, this is money that you could build a whole house with. In the month of June, yes, June just gone. June. Right? So for June period, and you're going to get the bill in June, but it reflects, you know, what you do in May. Right? So May, so all right. So what you seen in April is what you did in March. January, February, March, April, right? March. You understand the point? What you did in April will reflect in May. So May you'll get a bill for April. And what you did in June you'll get in July. So what you get in June will be for May. So the service period on this one now is from the third of the 5th month 2019 to the 2nd of the 6th month 2019. Right? 6th month was last month. Sheldon Scott again, $20,183.20. And when you look, it's data. So what I did last night was to call an expert in the field of data and phone and all this kind of stuff, because I wanted to know, I said, how could a man rack up that kind of money in data use? And mind you, if you go on his bill itself, because remember, for every number assigned, because this document is about what? 882 pages. And if you look under Sheldon Scott, his number, you would see all the people he called and the data use and the time and everything like that. Well outlined. So I am saying, folks, this is no joking situation. Sheldon Scott, you have a lot of questions to answer. We want to know. I know you cut off your phone because, you know, if I didn't, what I should have done is, but you see, I wanted to verify it's you. So I called yesterday and I got you. But today, you know, I just called my partner, Oliver Joseph, just to make sure, you know. You know, I wanted to call Keith Mitchell and ask him the question. You understand the point? I wanted to call him and ask him the question. Well, can you explain that as Minister of Finance to the Grenadian people, but I will not call him, you know? Nah, it don't make sense. Right? Oh, God, you think God you easy in this place here? Yeah? Or you ain't easy? All you easy. Right?
You have reached the voicemail.
All right, well, we ain't getting Keith Mitchell.
1-4.
Yeah, we ain't getting Keith. Just dial Keith Mitchell number there. I wanted to ask Keith directly. Can you tell us, why is it that so much money is being used for data and that kind of stuff? Please, can you explain? Right? Yeah, can you explain, please, sir? Because we want to know, huh? We want to know. This is a lot of money. I could do that money to complete my mother house right now. Right? 3 months of cash.
1-4.
Right, everybody cut off their phone now because they realize Ken Jones getting at them. Ken Jones calling people now. Everybody frightened. You understand the point? No. I mean, no joke. I would really like to know, to be honest with you, how could we accept this? So for 3 months, we could do the calculation and we just start. We could do the maths for 3 months. 3 months, that's only 3 months. Right? I'm looking for a particular number here. Call in, I have the numbers.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can I speak to Ms. Kate Lewis, please?
Yes, good morning.
How are you doing, my dear?
I'm okay.
Are you aware that the government is spending a lot of money on digital calls and Sheldon Scott number is reflected there on that bill?
Good morning, who is it?
Good morning, Cam Jones here. You're live on radio, you know. Hello? All right, she gone. She gone. I mean, let me call Ron Redhead and ask Ron if, whenever Ron Redhead here, number, let me ask Ron Redhead if Sheldon Scott has been in the Senate in that period, you know, because I don't know him as a senator. I know him on this NNP radio program. What's his NNP thing there? NNP radio program. Right? Alright, some NNP thing. Alright, hold on, let me. Ron, what is your number? Let me get your number. Right, somebody see you're live on Facebook. Very nice, good. Hold on, let me get his number. Sheldon Scott. Don't worry. Ron. I hope you answer and all the minister them ducking. Ron Redhead. No, Oliver Joseph answered. Is my good boy. He answered. Ron, I'm calling you. Answer your phone here. Can you come down there? And you understand? Ron, I want to know if Sheldon Scott is in the Senate. Still, you know, because Ron is a senator. Hey, Ron, how you doing?
Hey, bro.
Senator Ron Redhead. I want to know if Sheldon Scott is still a senator.
No, not from my knowledge, and certainly not from the knowledge of any current sitting parliamentarian.
Right. So he's not one. All right. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Right? Good morning. Good morning, Gola.
My brother, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you going?
I'm good.
Well, Kev, let me ask you a question. The first bill, that's the one in April. Did you say it was paid?
No, I'm not saying that anything is paid. I'm saying that is the bill sent from the company to that particular customer, which is the government of Grenada.
Right. So are we assuming that these bills are being paid on a monthly basis?
Well,
obviously because the government still has service. If you call them, you would get through.
Of course.
And the only way you would get through is because they have service. And
Right.
the only way they'll have service is if they're paying their bill.
And not only that, even if the government tends to sometimes 3 months they don't pay, 4 months there, but they have to pay because you're using the data, using the service.
Exactly.
So it's kind of understandable.
So we could establish that the bill is being paid.
And the bill must be paid.
Right. Now we know that Sheldon Scott is not a senator.
He's not a senator.
Can we say that Sheldon Scott is not employed by the government of Grenada in any capacity?
Well, he's not employed as a senator.
No.
As far as I know, Sheldon Scott is on the Hard Talk program on a daily basis. And and the Hard Talk program is an NNP program.
Good.
So you cannot have Sheldon Scott employed with the government of Grenada.
Right.
And still doing the Hard Talk program, which is an NNP political program.
Well, don't say that they cannot, because for the first term in office, as you and I both know, when the gentleman was at
secretary
or something like that.
Right.
He was also on the Hard Talk program 2 hours a day.
Right.
Right? So we know, given his track record, that he was paid by government and yet used the time, at least 2 hours of his time on a daily basis on the Hard Talk program in the last iteration of the NNP government. Right?
Right.
That was the last term.
Right.
Now,
Monday to Friday.
he was removed as a senator. To my knowledge, Sheldon Scott is not employed presently by the government of Grenada in any capacity. Sheldon Scott is as a full-time employee of the New National Party. And I believe that the Prime Minister said
the
so.
Prime Minister said so. The Prime Minister said that this particular individual is employed with the NNP and as X, Y, and Z. I played that piece sometime on the program.
Right. So we know that Mr. Scott is no longer an employee of the government of Grenada.
That's well established.
So, yes, the government of Grenada is paying a telephone bill assigned to him, right, that incurs in excess of $20,000 a month, right, for data or whatever it is. So, taxpayers are being asked to fund the political work of the New National Party. And that is the implication of what you have revealed today. I will go so far as to say that the government of Grenada should demand a repayment of these figures from the NNP.
Or have if they paid the bill, have them pay the company.
That's what I'm saying. Refund the government. If the government has paid the bill, we hope to see that they are collecting these monies back from the New National Party on a monthly basis or whenever it is that they settle these bills. Now, Ken, it is also instructive that, as we know, Pablo is, as he is referred to, still has his phone that is being funded by the taxpayers of Grenada.
Well, and you realize I called and I didn't get him, so he called back.
And he called back.
And we were in a conversation, but the minute time he hear Kem Jones, he gone.
Yes, Ken, I mean, we have to do better than this in this country. And so the onus is on not just Sheldon Scott this morning, but the New National Party to speak to this issue.
But this is not just, this is a bombshell, This thing is big like Watergate,
Well,
this thing is big.
But Ken, you catch them with the pants down. At this point, it look like you catch them with the pants down. But if they could show us that they've been paying back the money to government, but then again, if they're paying back the money to government, why are they allowing the government to fund this thing up front in the first place? They should remove that number from the government of Grenada, and let the NNP pay its bills to whomsoever at the end of the month.
Fully agree.
So, Ken, the NNP is who needs to get in front of this and come and explain to the Grenadian people, our taxpayers, why this situation continues today. Right? But you see, Lord Ken, today's our watershed. Thank you very much for the expose, my brother. Keep on doing what you're doing. We will talk later. Have a blessed one.
Thank you very much. Look, this thing is a bombshell of all bombshells, because to get information from the government, it is very difficult. We are talking about bills going to the government of Grenada from this telephone company, which says, this is what you owe me, and these are the people using the service. Senator Sheldon Scott is there. He's no longer a senator. He's no longer employed with the government of Grenada. But you hearing about $22,000 for 1 month, $26,000, the other month $20,000 data. I'm no expert in that field, but data, just using data service, it has to be more than just surfing taking the phone and just surf. Because I know what you could do with data on your phone. Good morning, Gola.
Hi, Ken. Good morning.
Good morning.
The bill that you are referring to, is it from the phone company?
Yes,
or
yes.
from the government?
No, the phone company.
Because what I'm thinking, knowing the history of the NNP, I remember there were times when they were paying people 3 and 4 times the amount that they were due to pay. And they were supposed to put the money back into the party. Whatever, if the salary is 5,000, they're giving them 10,000, so that extra 5,000 goes back in the party. That I'm wondering if that's the game that they're playing again.
Oh, that was the allegation then?
Right.
That was the allegation, yes.
Right. So I'm wondering.
But this is no. This is from the phone company itself. Right? So this is the phone company saying to the government, this is what you owe me. Because these are the people on the service. It's a pool that they have. Once you work with government, certain people are entitled to a phone. Or a number assigned, and the bills paid by the government. Because you're doing government business.
Right.
But in this case, you have to question, how is it? Because Sheldon Scott is no longer a senator and no longer employed with the government based on what Keith Mitchell said.
And it was since last year, right after the election.
Right.
I don't understand. But maybe the government paying his rent and everything like that. We need to dig into more than just the phone company.
Well, I suppose we need to investigate further.
Yep.
All right.
I think so. Thank you. Have a
Nice.
good morning.
Yeah, I think the investigation needs to go further than just this particular issue of telephone calls and data and so on. It's important. In fact, even if it was 5 cents being paid by the government for him, or for any one of them who don't work with government, it is wrong. But we are talking about $20-something thousand. Last night I called, or yesterday, coming to evening when I was doing my final piece, I called Sheldon Scott, and he answered, right? And I have it on record here on my phone, because anytime you call my cell phone or I call your phone, anytime, it would be recorded, on my phone, on my cell phone. So I called his phone. I called the number, and he answered. He did, So I called the number, and the man answered. He answered, right? He answered. I called him. Hello? And I cut it off. That's Sheldon Scott. Hello? That's him. So my phone normally records the conversation. Anybody who calls Kim Jones, it's recorded automatically. Right? Just to protect myself. So that's him. That's Sheldon. Hello? Sheldon Scott. That's him. On the number that's reflected on the bill. Yeah. God help this country. Help Grenada. The question is, what else out there that we're not investigating and getting to find out about what the government is doing for these people? A number of people who are political hawks. What else we're missing? That is what we need to investigate now. This thing is damning, That's the contention. Hello, Mr. Bowler, how you doing?
Not too bad.
All right, I'm seeking to speak to the General Secretary of the NNP. That's you?
Yes, I am. Who am I speaking with?
Well, you're speaking to Kim Jones, man.
Good morning, Mr. Jones, sir.
Yeah, man, I have a little question for you here, so I said let me call you and find out. I am looking at a bill here, man, from the telephone company, and it shows that Senator Sheldon Scott is still using a particular phone number that ends with 5113, and the bill is really high, man. $22,000, $22,840.87 in that month between 03/03/2019 and 02/04/2019. What do you say about that?
Well, Mr. Jones, I can't say anything about it because I've never seen a bill of that nature or heard about it.
All right. But you're no longer in government.
Who, me? No, I'm no longer in government.
Oh, but you kept that number. You kept that number that I was assigned to you.
Yeah, I kept the number. As a matter of fact, only 3 days ago, I repurchased this phone that I'm using. The number remained the same because it was well known, but I have my own phone.
Right, because I realized that you're not really using the service, except that government is still paying some $40 an order on that bill. And the tax is $6 on that same bill that you use. That same phone number. But you don't really use. What is good about it is that domestic calls, you're not making any domestic calls, international calls, and those things and that. Because
well, that's my personal phone really.
Or
the one I had from government was given up. The number I kept.
Right, but you must check it out because it's still government is still paying $40.
Okay.
On it, just check it out because
I will.
Yeah,
I will.
right. But you still check on Sheldon Scott, man.
Right.
Because
I am not aware that is news to me. And
right.
Those kind of information wouldn't come past my desk.
Right.
If you're saying it's government,
yes.
that would be something with the PS or someone at the ministerial level.
No, I respect that, man. I respect your honesty, brother.
Yes,
all right, I respect that. Yes. But blessings flow.
All right.
Good man.
Take care.
All
Good
right.
Man. Nice.
Yeah, I respect his honesty. Yeah, and give him that. I respect his honesty because he's not really using that particular phone, and he said only recently just go back and get back the number and stuff. Because when you check it out, he under his number here, he's not racking up anything, right?
All right. Let me go directly to some of the Facebook comments here. Arthur Langine says, Brother George, you and Brother Kem are sent by God to we the people. Thank you, God. Louis Johan says, I would like to know the bill not only for the last 3 months, but the bill from since the gentleman was no longer a senator. The government should not be accountable for this bill. That is abuse. So says Louis. Sean out there in the Azores says, whoa, amazing. These people must be on the phone 24/7. Something wrong here, boy. Yeah. Let's see. Sharon Simmons says, maybe he's playing a video game on the phone. John's response to that, or worse. Sharon says, I can't imagine watching movies on his phone. How? Anthony DeRigg says, Kem makes me think of them big investigative reporters in the United States. Or 7 on Your Side in New York. I imagine that's a television program in New York. He says they're good at unearthing all kind of thing. Sean comes back and says, investigative reporting at its best. Grenada Sunshine says, boy, I tell you. Yeah, I tell you. All right, folks. What I'm going to do now is take a quick little break here. And then I'm going to play you an excerpt from this past week's post-cabinet briefing.
This summer, make your dreams a reality with a Co-op Bank Summer Sizzle Loan. Get up to $20,000 and qualify for a chance to win a staycation at Silver Sands. Go on a vacation, enjoy the carnival season, have your dream wedding, or make home improvements. Make this summer sizzle with everything you want it to be. Visit your nearest retail banking unit for more details. Special terms and conditions apply.
Conveniently located in the Grandstand Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Granadas will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on.
You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you.
Yep,
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Easy living should be convenient. With Grenlec, it is. Dial 237 for any Grenlec department, or for customer service, streetlight outages, or if it's unsafe to trim a tree near a power line. For streetlights and service issues, please note the pole number. From just about anywhere, you can also check your bill balance and other account information. Just keep your Grenlec access number handy. Dial 237 for Grenlec. It's that easy. Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
All right. A couple more comments came in here during the break. Kipling says, that's the phone. How about the free gas? How many of you remember that? Huh? Yeah. Calinago Noir says, possibly Mr. Scott is using the number as a hotspot to surf the internet. I don't know. Joyce Smith says, God help the people of Grenada. Sharon says, oh yeah. Tessa Rennie says, I agree, Joyce Smith, they need help from the Almighty. And Tessa Rennie also says, Mr. Aline, are you still watching? Tessa Barry says, there was a similar case with a former Minister of Tourism in Trinidad and Tobago, Shamfa Kujo. She had a bill of 59,000 TT dollars for 4 days of roaming. The roaming charges for Bahamas was blamed for this. All right. Okay, folks. Now, post-cabinet briefing on Tuesday of this week. Obviously, the reporters had a lot of questions. Well, we only got to one of them. A lady by the name of Calistra Farrier. Here is her interrogation of the Trade Minister, Oliver Joseph, who was hosting that briefing.
Minister Joseph, the government, the cabinet some years ago had said that, well, I know that one of the hallmarks of this government has been cutting down on wastage. You've made several efforts in various areas to cut down on government spending. And one of the policies of the government had been, and as a cabinet member you might be able to speak to this, had been where it came to cell phone usage. I know that the government had issued several mobile phones to cabinet members and permanent government officials on a whole to facilitate the doing their jobs. And there had been a cap on the amount, and once it got into the red zone, that the individual who would have been responsible for raising it beyond what was approved would be spoken to. Can you tell me whether or not that policy is still in effect?
Yes, thank you very much for this question. The policy is still in effect. As you know, all governments would, as a policy, issue cell phone to senior officials, government ministers, and we, in order to keep control of costs, as you indicated, wastage, agreed with the provider. First of all, the two providers had to bid to get a government contract. We agreed to put a cap. So when I have my cell phone, during the months, I will get notice telling me, you have utilized 75% of your bundle, or 90%, notifying me, everything. And there's a cap if you travel on roaming. And so the last time I was in Trinidad, I could not make a call to Grenada with my phone. Apparently, I reached my my limit, and a lot of ministers are in the same category. However, the government, in ensuring that this policy is strictly adhered to, will have periodic review to ensure that there are no abuse to the system. And it is the responsibility of the service provider, in this case Digicel, to enforce the policy as agreed to contractually with the government.
Recently, somehow, the bill for the mobile phones for the government became public. And in looking at some of it, that I was able to see some of it, and there was, for instance, a charge for $22,000 for data for a phone that was in the name of a former government worker, former Senator Sheldon Scott, who no longer, as far as I know, works with the government. The phone is still in service. And the $22,000 for data, that is within the government's limit?
I cannot speak to any individual because I have not seen the bill, so I cannot verify what you're saying, or even verify or deny. All I'm saying is that we have a plan with Digicel, and if the system, if there's some failure in the system, a review has already begun. Dialogue has started last week with Digicel and the Ministry of Finance to ensure that what we sign on to is strictly adhered to. So I cannot really speak to any individual, with respect to the bill or whatever like that. Because I don't have the facts.
Could you remind me again what was the cabinet decision on how much they were willing to pay on individual cell phones? When they would have made the arrangement with Digicel, what was the limit that they had placed on individual usage?
No, it's a bundle. Huh? It's a bundle. I do not know what is the limit in terms of the amount of money, the monetary limit, because the charge based on this bundle that we have, the agreement with Digicel, we government is assigned a certain amount of minutes for a certain amount of money. That's how it's done. So to say I do not know, for example, if my limit is $100 or $200. It's done in a different way. It's assigned to government for usage by the users of government phone.
There are a number of people who are still using these phones. I mean, everybody knows that.
Calistra, just to interrupt you, I think the line of questioning, the minister would have addressed the matter in his opening statement. That stands. That is government's position on the matter as it relates to cell phones. It is now 3 minutes after 10. I think we should bring an end to the post-cabinet press briefing. 3 minutes after 11, sorry. I do think it is time for us to bring an end to this morning's post-cabinet press briefing.
My questions, Minister? You have an objection to answering my questions? Not whether you're able to or not, but do you have an objection to answering my questions?
Ended. Thank you very much to the journalists who were with us this morning, to our viewers who have joined us via radio, television, and social media. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you got lots of updates this morning.
I am amazed at how abruptly that press briefing came to an end. As someone who has personally broadcast these briefings back in the days of Chime and so on and so forth, I have known press briefings to go way past an hour, hour and a half. So I don't know why it surprises me. I really don't know why it surprises me, but such is life. Old people say, ça c'est la vie. Right now, I mentioned to you that Prime Minister, I don't know if he's back yet, but Prime Minister Mitchell was in Montreal over the weekend and held a town hall meeting on Friday night. Junior George, who does the program, the online program, Right Along, broadcast that live. It's on his page. You can check it out in its entirety. And when you do, read the comments. Read the comments. Not very encouraging, you'll find. I'm about to carry you an excerpt from that town hall meeting where Junior George actually asked the Prime Minister a question and demanded a straight answer. I'm going to run that for you in just a wee bit. But first, Sean says, boy, these people get away with answers like that. Shame on them. Andrea St. B. Mitch says, he would have addressed the matter. So he did. So did he or didn't he? Well, Kipling says, customary habit is not considered to be abuse to the perpetrators. To us, it is abuse, beyond reproach. So sad to hear the depressed secretary. Margaret says, so you're telling me that whoever the service provider is responsible for ensuring government employees are held accountable? Who employs government employees? Government or the service provider? Shaking my damn head. Yvonne Joseph says, Mr. George, there's a video where Grenada's Prime Minister was speaking to some people in Montreal. Please look for it and listen. Joel Greenidge got it on his profile. Think you are friend with him. Joel Greenidge, who is he? Think you are friends with him? So you should get it. Go view and listen. Well, I don't know if you're referring to the piece that I'm about to play right now, but I'm going to run this piece from the town hall meeting on Friday night. Here we go.
I won't be a social activist or keyboard advocate, as they call me sometimes, if I didn't ask this question. It's a burning question that is on social media, and I would like you to address it. I'll ask a direct question. I'll appreciate a direct answer as well. The question is, it has to do with former ministers or ministers of government. Is it normal that former ministers or ministers of government have their phone bills or any utility bills paid by government, by extension, the taxpayers of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique? Is that a normal practice?
The brother raised a question about use of phone. The answer to your question, it is not a practice. It is fundamentally wrong. So it is not supposed to be allowed. And it's not just ministers. You have public servants who left the public service with a phone and still have it. Well, clearly that can't be right. You have people who are maybe in the diplomatic circles who have left the diplomatic circles and still carrying a diplomatic passport. And in some cases, I'm not sure they might be using it. I'm talking very openly here. So, but the problem is this. Through successive governments, not just this government, this has happened in the past. Many of these things have happened. The question you ask yourself, how is this supposed, how did it happen? And why is it continue to happen? That's the issue. And we have to be honest with ourselves. And one thing you know about me, I never duck my responsibility as Prime Minister. Something happens in government that I'm the first person that take blame is me, because I'm the head. I'm not like certain people or other leaders where they pass the blame on everybody else. Accept your role and then look for the other people that may have been a mistake too. But let me tell you this. The accounting, so the government must take responsibility. The leadership of the NNP, the leadership of the NDC should, because it happened a lot on the NDC where thousands of dollars have been spent on people who should not have been, bills that should not be paid. It has happened and it continues to happen. We have to cut the neck of this fast. Now, so I accept my role. The government has to accept the role. The Ministry of Public Utilities, who is responsible for the question of telephone, for example, has to accept responsibility. But the question is, who is the accounting officer in the government? It's not the politician. It is the... No, my friend, no, my friend. I just said I accept my role as leader for what has happened. So I have not ducked responsibility, my brother. I want to make it very clear. But the government minister does not touch money in the public service. The public servant is the accounting officer in the public service. We have to get it. If an inquiry is held on any government department in the country, the person that has to go and give account for what happens is not the politician, you know. It is the permanent secretary and the accounting officers. And I always keep telling public servants, you are the responsible. If you see a minister doing something, you have a right, even if it's the prime minister, to put it, stop it, or expose him or her. Don't be afraid, they can't do anything. No politician can touch you for doing your work in protecting the taxpayers, because he would be a dead politician when it goes out there. But you don't say, because the person is close to the prime minister or close to the minister, you don't do it. Wrong is wrong, no matter who's doing it. So I'm saying that's another area of weakness. So I've accepted the government leadership, the political leadership role in solving that problem. And while I'm here, aggressive action is taken. What came out is now taking place in, even while I'm here, the political directorate is dealing with that issue, calling in people and ensuring that we cut the neck of this thing. So I've accepted a leadership role, a political role. I now tell you the public servants must take responsibility also. They can't just say, well, this and that. That's their responsibility. But the third one, we have had a contract with the public, with the service providers, DGCL in this case, where we sat with them and agree on that there's a limit that you should not allow. So we want to know, how come somebody, not those in government alone, somebody who is not in government, his bill could be running thousands of dollars, when in fact we're supposed to have a max. So why didn't you report it, something, or stop it, because we have a contract with you? So what I have done here tonight is to share the blame around for the problem. And I'm saying, in the end, the taxpayers are the ones that lose. And all of us must do something about it urgently. So this is the situation. It pained me. And I said already, because you know, one day, and you know how it came about, how the information came out? It is me, you know. Somebody gave me a wire. So I went in, I said, tell me, I want a copy of the bills that government paying. That is when this thing came out, you know. If I did not take steps, this thing would never come out. And every day the tax bill. But why should be prime minister? I should not be in this. I don't look at telephone bills. I don't know what telephone bills come to the government. I should have time to look at bills. You're running a country, you're traveling here, you're doing this. You have the Ministry of Finance to run, you have this to run, and you have to look at telephone bills in the end of the month? Well, God, come on. Nah, this doesn't make any sense. So I'm saying that this is just a symptom of the problem. Now, if you left the government service and you're no longer government, what you're doing, you know you have a phone, you're using it, you know the government paying. How could you sit there and accept that? You must have a conscience. So I'm just saying that, colleagues and Grenadians, friends of Grenada, this is the kind of thing. You know, it has happened in other countries, you know. People have lost their jobs on the basis of this. It is just not fair, but some of us have to have our conscience. You know, if somebody was working with the government, and you said minister, George is not minister. In fact, the problem is not, most of the thing is not ministers, you know. It is people who are working with the government and left. Generally speaking, they're not politicians. Very few cases, the politicians. This is not a small thing, it's a big thing. It's a lot of people involved. But you're hearing a couple names being called because they're connected to a politician. So that's what happened in the small societies. They make it a political issue. It's a much more serious issue. As I said before, different governments has to take responsibility for all this. So I'm not casting blame on any specific government. I got to take responsibility my first. But when I asked the question, tell me the Prime Minister bill, you know what it turned out? The Prime Minister bill is one of the smallest. Yeah, that's a fact. It should be one of the largest, because I'm the one who travels regularly. And I know sometimes I go to Trinidad, and I reach in Trinidad, I go in the VIP lounge, try to reach home, I can't make a call. They cut me off. But somebody not working with the government could be making thousands of dollars a telephone. Something ain't right. You see the problem?
I guess the next quick question.
So,
sorry to extend it.
I really expected to hear this question.
Right.
And it's something I will not duck because I feel strongly about it. And I'm not going to duck responsibility, but I feel the blame has to be shed around, and we as a country must take steps and deal with it effectively once and for all.
So are we saying that steps are being taken to fix the problem immediately?
Absolutely. Well, we can't continue with this.
Right.
We have to deal with it. We have a responsibility to the taxpayers. Absolutely.
Alrighty, folks, I'll tell you what, thank you so much for the barrage of comments you've been posting on Facebook. But in the interest of time, I'm going to skip them. And anybody who's interested can go on back and take a look, okay? Right now, what I'd like to do is play you, and the reason why I'm doing this is that we're pressed for time. It's 18 minutes now before 12 o'clock, and the next piece, if I'm not mistaken, runs about 30, 35, 36 minutes. It's an excerpt from Thursday night's edition of Mekwee Chat with the usual suspects. So let's get on with it.
A very interesting thing happened in Grenada this past week.
So there, and
news broke that there was a former senator who was using a cell phone that was still being paid for by the taxpayers of Grenada. Not that he was the only one, there were other people who were named or not named.
Yeah, but who was the phone initially assigned to? To him?
To him.
Okay, just make sure, yeah.
Yeah, he used to be a senator, so he was assigned a phone, as I am sure everyone who is employed in certain positions within the government of Grenada and other countries would be assigned a cell phone. Before I get too deep in that story, there was also a cell phone scandal in Jamaica, where one of the ministers was abusing that privilege, racked up huge cell phone bills, and that privilege, once it came to light, that privilege was taken away from him, and all other ministers were allowed a certain amount to be paid by the taxpayers. Anything beyond that, you pay it yourself. That took care of that.
That's fair.
Yeah. Now, in Grenada, this former senator who was relieved of his senatorial position since 2016, because Grenada had an election in 2018. It's just last year, George. Yep. And he was not reassigned to the Senate after that election. So he has been outside of the Senate since 2016. And in 2019, 3 years and one election later, it is just coming to light that the taxpayers of this country are still paying the cell phone bill for this young man. And he seems to not be very prudent in the use of the cell phone, because the news which this week is that the monthly bill for data usage It's like in the region of 70,000.
Back up. Let me get it slowly.
Let me
Let me
repeat.
get it slowly.
70,000.
No, not a part alone. Not a part alone. Did you say monthly?
Well, there was a period when, for 3 months, I understand, according to the report which came out, that the bill was over $70,000.
Is that collectively or per month?
That's the point.
Per month.
Per month?
No. Hold on, Bev. Wasn't I think the $70,000 is for the 3-month period. The senator's bill was, I think, $22,000 a month.
Per month. Okay, so
anyhow you cut that.
The 70,000 would have been accumulated
for 3 months.
Yeah. 3 months.
Okay. Right. So get that, folks. We don't want to be spreading any propaganda on this show. So that was the story which came out. But you know what I found interesting? Not one media house in Grenada carried the story.
And seriously, why not? Why think not?
I don't know. I didn't ask any of them, but none of them carried it. And I remember when this story broke in Jamaica, it was all over the place.
It's a story.
Well, you know, I in the vague recesses of my mind, there was a similar situation in Trinidad, I think, where a minister had used a credit card and had racked up a couple $100,000.
Yeah, I remember that. Yes.
And that was all over every media house you could think of in Trinidad.
It's taxpayers' money. And if the fourth estate cannot feel that it has an obligation to ventilate that, they should pack up. That's serious.
I love that word, Jerry. An obligation.
It's an obligation.
Yeah, that's correct.
This young man is not employed in any capacity to the government of Grenada since 2016. I know for sure that he sits on some boards, you know, they appoint him to some boards here and there. But sitting on a board does not give you the same rights and privileges. Employed and working for the people of the country in a different capacity. You know?
But there's something contemptuous about that.
But hold on, guys. Hold on. Bev, something you haven't mentioned, Bev, is that this man is perhaps the biggest mouthpiece for the new National Party. He does the Hard Talk program.
Yes,
There you go. There you go. But it's either something contemptuous or somebody has taken some kind of liberties that ought not. Because for you to have a telephone bill that runs into thousands of dollars, knowing how it's done, there's certain is either contempt or other people are part and parcel of the encouragement. Maybe he lets other people use the facility because they know.
Yes,
go ahead, somebody's going to say something.
Yeah, I think Dwyer wanted to say something.
Firstly, George, just for clarification, you said that the bill was about $22,000 per month for this person?
Yes, sir.
Now, first of all, I cannot wrap my brain around a cell phone bill rising up to $20,000
Thank you. Thank you.
That is absolutely unacceptable.
Okay, but I understand, Dwyer, that data was included in that.
It doesn't matter, George.
I agree.
I don't care what you include in it. That is not acceptable. That's number one. Number two, if he was doing this, then he could not have been the only person to have known that he was doing it. There is an officer in each department that has direct oversight on these matters. And through the chain of command, it goes up to the chief accounting officer for each ministry, who is the permanent secretary.
Absolutely.
So if this thing has gone, maybe a whistleblower has brought it out. I don't know how it came out. But if this thing has happened, then you're looking at a systemic problem. And this man's excesses are not his own, but he's part of an arrangement where public funds and public trust are being grossly abused.
All right.
And if there is no punishment for something like this, then we have a problem.
All right, Dwyer, let me just jump in here for a minute. Dwyer, tonight I was watching the news, and finally, I mean, we were promised a statement from the Prime Minister since earlier on during the week, but that never came until tonight when one of the local television networks did an interview with him. And essentially, he was saying how embarrassed he was by this incident. He also labeled it the same way you just did. He said it's a systemic failure. Something went wrong in the system somewhere. But
and something went wrong. Somebody went wrong.
He also,
and you know who must take the ultimate blame for that? The person in administrative control.
All right.
The permanent secretaries in these departments don't understand, you know. The permanent secretary is the person who must take responsibility.
Jerry, the Prime Minister did say that government does accept the blame, in part. He also blamed Digicel because he's... Pardon me?
I said,
Let me hear how Digicel...
Yeah, let me hear how Digicel get blamed.
No.
Digicel be using the phone.
He's
I'm
blaming
getting that part of the story.
Pardon me?
Yes, go ahead, George, because that part is coming.
Okay. He said he is blaming Digicel because apparently they're supposed to monitor. I mean, if you have a package with one of these telecoms, they let you know when you are nearing the end of the value of that package. And so he blamed Digicel. So the bottom line is that there's supposedly an investigation underway. This is what the Minister of Trade said yesterday morning at a post-cabinet briefing, that there is an investigation underway, and that something that came out of that post-cabinet briefing is that when the questions started getting kind of tough, the press secretary who was moderating the post-cabinet briefing abruptly brought the press briefing
Shut it down
to an end.
Shut it down.
Okay, abruptly. And by the way, on Sunday morning, I'm going to run both of those, well, that clip from with the press secretary shutting down the conference. You know, it was so flagrantly obvious what was happening. I don't know. And I have been waiting to see if the Media Association here in Grenada would have anything to say about that.
Don't hold your breath, George. Don't hold your breath, because
Tell
I can't pay the
we want him here next week, so no hold your breath.
Folks. I just got a note here from someone who heads up a newsroom, and
Someone who what?
Someone who heads up a newsroom here in Grenada.
Yeah.
And I am told that a story was done today about the cell phone abuse.
Yeah, George basically said that, I think, when you went off just now. He said that some station did an interview with the Prime Minister. Was that right, George?
Yeah, GBN had an interview on tonight at 7 o'clock.
No, I think he's talking about something separate.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Folks, listen to what I'm saying and stop interpret what I'm saying. Head of the newsroom said they did a story today about the cell phone abuse. They interviewed the head of another political party, one of the smaller political parties, who used to be a part of the NNP. So
Terry Forrester.
Right. They got a view from someone else on the cell phone abuse. And that is fine. But my thing is, as a reporter, I would have gone after that story like a dog in heat.
Boy?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing what Beverley's saying, and I'm hearing George come up and he says, Terry Forrester, and Beverley said, well, you know, they did a story and they spoke to somebody from a political party. Really? What are the rules of the Public Service Commission and the thing? What are those rules? We still don't know. Who is responsible for enforcing those rules? That is what your story is supposed to be speaking to. You don't need to go to a politician to tell you that.
You don't need to make it political.
It doesn't have to be
deal with the operation.
Political at all.
That is why I go back to the post with administrative control. I ain't going to no politician.
Exactly.
We could make it salacious. We could make it the people who often are in administrative controls in our government do not understand the liability that they carry. Because if that matter to go to court, he has to go to.
Exactly. I worked in GIS. I traveled on government business. I got government funds to go.
Margaret, our Facebook feed has begun buffering.
It has?
Yes, just got a note here saying that.
Mine seemed to be fine.
Mm.
Yeah, but as I was saying, I traveled on government business, got government funds. I didn't get it from a politician. I dealt with Mr. Cornwall, who at the time was in charge of the accounting department.
Absolutely.
When I came back with all my receipts and my bills and everything else to account, I accounted to Mr. Cornwall. I didn't account to the minister. Mr. Cornwall was the person that was in charge of the accounting department.
Absolutely. And we need, these are things, when things like these happen, this is how we need to educate, because there's too much of this concept out there that it is otherwise. The civil service is not run by the minister.
Exactly.
And that is why I am so saddened. After you've been very quiet this evening.
Very thoughtful.
I'm so saddened by the lack of training for our young reporters. Because
he has no voice.
He has a throat problem, yeah. What to see it still? Mm-hmm.
It is actual censorship or self-censorship why the story has not been carried. And people in the media, my colleagues, they need to understand what their responsibilities are.
They clearly don't. They clearly don't.
Yes, they don't. So that happened, that came out, and no big brouhaha was made about it. I saw a story in the Jamaica Gleaner about this issue. That is where I saw a story. And the story was done by CNC, which is in Barbados, and the Gleaner in Jamaica picked it up.
Right.
So what is it that we think as people within the media that something like this should come up, and we don't think we have a responsibility?
But Beverley, listen to me. The media in Grenada has an even more overarching responsibility, since all of the seats, there's no opposition. The media therefore has a much more, a much deeper responsibility to be the people to point this out. There's no opposition there.
Yeah, and the thing
listen, folks, I have an issue with no opposition, There is no opposition in the parliament.
That's what we're talking about.
I always qualify that, because just do not have an opposition member sitting in the parliament doesn't mean that you shouldn't have or there is no opposition. It simply means that NGOs who should be leading the charge to protect this
we know.
And whatever other political parties out there with hopes of forming a government at some time, and other groups, other civic groups, they are just there invisible.
Yeah, but that's where the media comes in to bring those out. The media should be the ones presenting this up front, so to give them some strength. But if the media is sidestepping such an important issue, we're really in trouble.
And then we see stories. Sorry, Margaret, I'm cutting Margaret again. And we see stories with the minister, George brought it out, naming Digicel. Huh?
Yeah, and I mean, just to follow up on what you guys are saying, the story is not a political story.
No.
And the thing is, if the media sticks to the facts of a story just as it is not political. Whoever wants to interpret it that way, they can, but it is not.
That's right, exactly. Dwyer?
Beverley?
Yes.
I am not so sure I agree with you all that this is not a political story. And I'll tell you why. If people in the public service would have known about this, and they would have, they must have. Somebody must have seen the invoices, somebody must have seen the documentation, and that person must have passed it up the chain of command, or taken the liberty, being presumptuous enough to try to, but somebody have to sign off on it. Here is the deal. If this gentleman is a political figure, and it sounds as though he is,
very much so,
just not any longer in the Senate. If he's a political figure, and civil servants who have the responsibility to make sure that the government accounting processes and mechanisms work properly, and everybody has to account. If they know that and are not doing so, it may be that they are not doing what they're supposed to be doing because of fear of political power. So I don't quite buy it, because I'm speaking from experience. I understand the politics of these little countries, I think. And a lot of times, civil servants know the difference between good and bad, between right and wrong. But in their own self-preservation, they turn a blind eye and shut up and do nothing, because they might be afraid of consequences, real or imagined. So I don't see how something like this, as soon as it happens, is not brought to the attention not only of the chief accounting officer in the ministry, but to the Minister of Finance. Because this other person who is spending the taxpayers' money is a political figure.
Hello. Dwyer, I take your point soundly. I get where you're going. What I'm saying, mostly for the reporting side of it. Let the reports take care of the systemic failure, as we called it, right? But I said this about St. Vincent, I'm going to say so through this region. Until a couple of these civil servants, like permanent secretaries, get dragged before the court and have to give account before the court of their actions, nothing is going to happen, because too many of them sidestep the issue and make it feel as if this is the minister. If something goes wrong, the minister ain't coming for it, you know?
I hear you.
Okay, good.
I take your point, brother.
I agree with Jerry on that, Astaphan.
I take your point, but I want to take mine too.
I agree with you, but from the reporting perspective, on the reporting side, they could have just made it a factual story and
fine, that's good. Well, let's never forget who's holding this stick, eh?
True.
Right, so I am saying, and it is being echoed here, and I do agree with Dwyer that it is at its core a political story. And because of the players involved, I mentioned the actual censorship and the self-censorship. So our young reporters tiptoe around the issue, very careful of what they report, very careful of how it is reported, because of those realities.
But I don't blame the young reporters, you know. The young reporters are also carrying out their station or paper's position. They know if they take a story like that to the editor, they know the position of the editor. They don't go nowhere.
That's why I said real or self, not real.
Good.
Or self-censorship. Because when you're in a certain kind of environment, you will look at the story and say, I ain't gonna bother to do this because
exactly. Ain't getting nowhere. It's like wasting time.
Exactly. So there is actual and there is self-censorship.
Yeah, I think I would also add to that too, is that some of the young reporters don't even know what the rules of engagement are for the public service.
Thank you. Thank you, Margaret.
I agree with
Thank
you.
You know,
you hit the nail on the head right there.
Thank you very much. Because I think Bev is very much aware of the media environment in this town, and Jerry tried to touch on it. You know, when he says that the reporters are carrying out their superiors' wishes, essentially.
I know of a situation here recently where the minister told, and these are all part of the administration, he is responsible for the ministry, and nothing must go out unless he literally gives it a write-off.
Yeah, and you know what? And the reason why he can say that is because the people below him don't know.
The people, they know. It is the fear of which Dwyer speaks, right? That they have allowed to become endemic. But to hear, and as I say, until somebody do something foolish and it end up in court, they wouldn't stop. My word.
I hear you.
Right. So these are some of the issues that we have to keep highlighting, because when the fourth estate is not as strong as it should be, have the kind of backbone that it should have, then you know that this thing we call democracy
in trouble.
is going to hell in a handbasket.
Let me ask a quick question, if I may, very quick. Does the fourth estate know what it is supposed to do? Or no, I said this respectfully.
No, it's a good question.
It's a good question.
And secondly, if it does know what it is supposed to do and is not doing what it is supposed to do, is it because of political or other flavoring or whatever word you want to use?
Yeah, that's the problem.
So we have a problem in the region with an independent media?
Big time.
All right. Okay.
Yes. That is a major problem. If you
in the region.
If you look at the structure and ownership of media houses nowadays, you can tell. It's easy to. The bottom line is not information, checks and balances, holding people in authority, holding their feet to the fire, holding them accountable. That is not the bottom line. The bottom line is we need ads, and we're going to do whatever we need to do to get the ads. So if you have to kill a story, you kill it. If you have to not make somebody unhappy, you just can't make certain people unhappy, because at the end of the day, we
go and get the ads.
Ads, exactly. That's what it's about. Now, when you come from a different era, when news was news, and you're gonna break the news regardless. You know, it was a totally different kind of atmosphere for the media. When it was insulated against political power. And the private sector, the advertisers, would put their support behind these people. They advertise with you. They give you the business. So you're able to keep things going. But now, in the private sector, looking for a government contract, so nobody don't want to be supporting a news organization or a current affairs organization or a current affairs program which speak the truth to power.
Well, they're not really media. These are entertainers.
I was just going to make the point that most of what we call media house today, their focus is on entertainment. The news is down there, maybe to get some of the ads and stuff like that. So you wouldn't use the news to upset, because the biggest money is coming from the entertainment side of business. That's the problem.
No, but I think that is true for media pretty much everywhere, particularly what we would refer to as mainstream media, even here, because news is kind of like seen as a loss leader. I mean, they don't really make money on it, so there's no need to really invest in it. You get more money from the entertainment stuff. The more ridiculous you can be, it's more money you can get.
Well, I find to support you, Margaret, I look at American television, and I find a lot of the news is entertainment.
Absolutely.
I don't take it that seriously. When I want news, I go to Al Jazeera, I do my own research. Alternative media is where you get the facts now.
That's correct.
Not mainstream.
So I mean, to the people who gravitate to the CNNs, and I mean, I want to differentiate with CNN, because the CNN of today, not the original CNN. Certainly the CNNs and the ABCs and the NBCs and the CBS of this world, really and truly, the days of hard-hitting journalism are really over as far as they are concerned.
You left out Fox.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, I don't know where to put Fox.
That's a Freudian miss.
Yeah. But
leave them out, it's okay.
Yeah, but what you're finding happening here, I mean, good sources of news in the United States certainly would come from newspapers are still doing a good job. The ones that are surviving still, they're really still doing a good job of covering issues and stuff. And you've had the rise of a lot of alternative type media that are publicly funded. When I say publicly funded, doesn't necessarily mean that they're getting government funds. They may be user supported and that kind of stuff. So if you go down that road, and they're out there, and the internet too has really opened up a lot of that happening. So you can find those things there. The problem is, it's probably people like you and I that would be going after those sources.
Correct.
The average person really doesn't care. So there you go again. It's kind of like everybody's preaching to their own choirs.
Yeah. And I front loaded what you were going to say with the fact that the young man has not been senator since 2016. We've had an election. So why was that not taken care of? It's deliberate. No,
yes, it's deliberate.
Of course, it's deliberate.
And as Dwyer pointed out, that can't be the use of one person.
No,
no, man, that's a
whole
department.
Department, the whole party.
That is not an oversight. That's a deliberate act.
Yeah.
And it's a bad system too. When I was in government, we had a system here, and I think they still have it. As a minister of government, I got a telephone allowance. I think it was $100 or $125, some small figure a month. I use my own phone.
That's right.
My own phone. They say, okay, you can get $100 a month to use your cell phone to do government work. Okay, we have government phones. You have an office where you could do the government work from there. And so you just abide accordingly. Why should the government be buying phones for people and giving you $20,000 worth of calls a month? You're making joke. You're making joke.
You hear about issues, when we're roaming, But technology has advanced and technology has changed. So I'm not going to say they shouldn't have phones.
So how much a WhatsApp call costs?
But I was about to say that I'm not going to say they shouldn't have a phone. Excuse me. But there has to be rules, and the rules have to be enforced.
Beverley, we come into government with our phones. We have our phones. Why the government must now go buy another phone to give me and I don't have one already?
Well,
just give me a telephone allowance.
I don't know about you, Dwyer, but my personal phone, I'm not using to do no employer work. Sorry. Because I tell you one thing, I live in the United States, and I've worked in HR before, and let me tell you something. If there's a lawsuit and your phone was being used for work, that becomes part of discovery. My phone is not part of your stuff. I'm paying my bill. You want me to use a phone? You provide the equipment. I don't.
I understand that.
I'm not crossing at all.
I understand.
I respect that. Especially a little place like you and your states, I could
I'm not
actually
doing
understand.
that anywhere else, because you know what? You give an employer an inch, you know what happens after that, right? No, sir.
So, you know it's on iPhone 6 or 7 down here? $3,000.
No, but here again, Dwyer, speaking of the government of Grenada or any other government for that matter, why would they have to buy an iPhone 6 or an iPhone 8 to be?
Yeah, you buy a cell phone.
A basic phone.
There are phones that are cheaper than that.
So you also buy cars for them? Also buy cars for them?
Not personally, but there are motor vehicles assigned to do the work of the government of the country, and motor vehicles are assigned on whatever duties they have.
To ministers?
I believe.
In some places, yes.
Man, let me tell you, Beverley, that is such an abusive situation. See?
No,
yes, I
this
agree.
is what, Dwyer, notice how I answer the question, Motor vehicles should be assigned to the ministries to do whatever work.
The ministry?
Not
the minister. When I was a minister, I'm entitled to a duty-free vehicle every 4 or 5 years. My vehicle, which I have to buy truly at a concessionary price, I get the concession because I'm a minister. I have to put gas in it, I have to insure it, and I get a travel allowance. It's going to be $300 or $400 a month, whatever it was. I don't remember. But I am, from the experience I had in government, I don't like the idea of the government buying all of these things for you. Because you know what happens a lot of times? People who get the free phones and so forth, go and tell whoever it is they have to report to, the phone mash up, the phone break. Next thing on the phone in somebody else's hand getting used.
I just said.
Anyway, I don't want to prolong it, so I'll leave that.
Yeah. On it now, if people have to get phones, there has to be rules. If you're that your phone is broken or it is lost, then you have to be able to prove the phone is broken. If it's a broken phone, bring it in and it is replaced.
Beverley, you have to prove it is broken. Just like you have to use your phone judiciously and not run up a $22,000 bill and nobody notice it.
Precisely.
But nobody notice a $22,000 bill. They're not going to notice a broken phone because they don't want to.
And
exactly. That's the point.
That is my argument, that there has to be rules and the rules have to be enforced.
Yes, that's the ideal situation.
You know?
What would be interesting in this particular situation, now that that Digicel has been fingered, I'd like to know what Digicel's response would be to this.
Yeah, of course.
Because, I mean...
I haven't seen a response from...
No, I know. Digicel, I can, anyway. What I think is going to happen, Digicel is going to kind of back off and basically and say, well, it's a government phone. They expect... They don't nickel and dime government phones the way they do you and I. Because we won't even get to $2,000, right? So, I mean... Whether they like it or not, hold on. Whether they like it or not.
Let me just interject. Did you sell disconnect my phone for $3 already? $3.
It's a horrible customer, that's all you are.
So, continue.
I don't know. I mean, I don't see Digicel as being responsible at all. I think it's the government's responsibility, the employer's responsibility to seek its interest and everything else. Absolutely. And if he had a government phone, it's the government's responsibility to do due diligence and ensure that the employee complies with government rules. That's not Digicel's responsibility.
Digicel realizes it's government, and the government sometimes lean into companies like Digicel and might not say it, but want to expect that kind of facility. You hear what I say and you hear my language very well.
I know.
Okay? So for them now to come and say, that's a red herring. That's just nonsense. Because Digicel is not responsible for you to look after your thing. That is your responsibility. But let's take a break. We have to take our second
Jerry,
break.
hold on a sec. You know, what you're saying is true to a large extent, especially when there are multi-million-dollar contracts involved. Hey.
I didn't say a word.
Seriously. But look,
I know what I'm saying.
The part that's puzzling, okay, you're saying it's not Digicel's responsibility. And okay, this happened, the $70,000 were accumulated over a 3-month period. You get the first bill, the first month, $22,000, and it's way offline, totally inconsistent with any of the other ministers or officials of government. It slips by you. The second month comes, another $20,000. You ain't start asking questions?
And remember, George, add to this, right, that the bills don't come to the person with the phone, you know.
There's what?
The bill does not come to the person who is using the phone, you know.
No, it goes straight to
the
the
bill
government.
Exactly. So let's tell foolish about what is Digicel for. Give me a break, too.
But you know, they got
and that's the point that
way.
Dwyer was, exactly, that's the point Dwyer was making. The bill does not go to whoever is using the phone. It comes to the department.
Oh, well. Folks, I don't need to tell you there were tons of comments during that segment. I'm sorry, but this morning I've had to forego a number of comments because of quantity of stuff we've had on here. But I do thank you so much for your comments because even though I don't read them, I've read them all, but even though I don't read them on the air, there are a lot of people who have seen and will be seeing them once this is up on Facebook in just a few minutes from now. Thank you very much for joining us for today's edition of Sundays with George Grant. Hang on a sec. One little break before we hightail it out of here.
This summer, make your dreams a reality with a Co-op Bank Summer Sizzle Loan. Get up to $20,000 and qualify for a chance to win a staycation at Silver Sands. Go on a vacation. Enjoy the carnival season. Have your dream wedding or make home improvements. Make this summer sizzle with everything you want it to be. Visit your nearest retail banking unit for more details. Special terms and conditions apply.
GRENLEC Community Partnership Initiative.
This is not the first time that GRENLEC, through the GCPI, has responded positively to TAMCC, and we are always appreciative for the support. TAMCC, like the GCPI, is geared to service the community. As a college, we cannot accomplish our mission of fostering Grenada's development through education without meaningful partnerships from other community members. GRENLEC has been a leader in this regard.
GRENLEC, energizing our community.
Folks, something I always want you to remember is that, yes, despite the way things are in this country today, the world is right where God expects it to be. He didn't create the mess. No. We did. But he knew it would happen. Closing scripture for you today from James chapter 1, verses 2, 3, and 4. Consider it pure joy, brothers and sisters, when you face many trials, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. James chapter 1, verses 2, 3, and 4. I hope you can join me tomorrow morning and every weekday morning during the coming week, this week, for Good Day Grenada. That's such a fun program. We hope you'll be able to join us. If not, we'll see you again next Sunday. And I do pray that God will bless you. Bless you.